The desolate mountains. The Luo family's experts were completely vulnerable to Lu Ming. A moment later, Lu Ming left the Luo residence with a cold expression on his face. The Luo residence had already turned into a sea of fire and had been trampled flat. All the experts of the Luo family had been killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming would not show any mercy to this evil family. In the Luo family's core treasury, Lu Ming successfully found an evil eye stone. The evil eye stone was the Luo family's clan treasure, and it was easy to find. In this way, only the last type of desolate grass was left. The desolate grass was found in the desolate mountain range where the Stellar River was. This was an extremely special mountain range. This mountain range wasn't located on a certain planet. Instead, it was the entire mountain range, floating in the universe. The mountain range was incomparably huge, and there were extremely terrifying domains on it. No matter what creature entered, it would be difficult for them to fly and would suffer great pressure. However, the desolate mountains were rich in resources and had many precious divine herbs. The desolate grass was an extremely rare and precious divine grass. Even in the desolate mountain range, it was very rare and valuable. It was a treasure that could not be bought with money. Therefore, many cultivators would come here to explore and search for treasures. Lu Ming sat on the starry sky warship and flew in the vast starry sky. A huge mountain range appeared in front of him. From a distance, it looked like a giant dragon was circling in the universe. The vast universe is truly wondrous, Lu Ming sighed. At this moment, Lu Ming noticed that there were streams of light flying toward the desolate mountains from other directions like meteors. Of course, these weren't meteors, but experts. Some of them sat on the space battleships, while others flew. To be able to use one's body to travel through the universe, one had to be at least a heavenly god. Buzz! All of a sudden, a figure flew rapidly from behind Lu Ming's warship. It was a burly man. He was very strong and muscular. He had a ferocious look. "Get lost, you're just like an ant. Don't block the way." When the burly man passed by Lu Ming, he struck his palm at Lu Ming's interplanetary warship. Thump! The starry sky battleship was hit, and it trembled violently before flying out. Ha ha ha, the burly man laughed, glanced at Lu Ming in disdain, and then left. In his opinion, a person on an interplanetary warship was most likely below the level of a heavenly god. He didn't care at all. This guy, Lu Ming's gaze turned cold as he watched the burly man leave. In the end, he did not make a move. He continued to control the starship and flew towards the desolate mountain range. Why are there so many people? Lu Ming sized up his surroundings and revealed a strange look. Outside the huge desolate mountain range, there were many experts of different races floating in the air. The number was shocking. At a glance, there were no less than 10,000 people. In the past, although there were people who came to the desolate mountain range to search for treasures, there were never this many people. As they neared the desolate mountains, Lu Ming left the starry sky battleship and floated in the starry sky. "Senior, may I ask what happened here? Why are there so many people?" Lu Ming came to the side of a white-haired elder and asked with cupped fists. The others were not too surprised. Stage 9 True God Realm experts could already stay in the universe for a period of time. However, they couldn't cross the universe and fly from one planet to another. "You don't know?" The old man looked at Lu Ming in surprise. "I don't know." Lu Ming shook his head. "There's no harm in telling you. Recently, I heard that the Heart of Desolation has appeared in the desolate mountain range. That's why so many people have been attracted here. These people are all here to find the Heart of Desolation." The old man smiled, looking very familiar. The Heart of Desolation? Lu Ming had a puzzled look on his face. He had never heard of the Heart of Desolation. The Heart of Desolation. There's actually a Heart of Desolation here. Ha ha ha. The heavens are on my side. No, the heavens are on your side. Lu Ming, you must get the Heart of Desolation. The Heart of Desolation can completely replace the Desolation Grass, and its effects are several times better. The formation discs refined from it will be even more powerful. That way, our chances of success will be greater. After hearing about the Heart of Desolation, Bone laughed out loud in excitement. It's actually several times better than the Desolate Grass. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with intense anticipation. He had to succeed in dealing with Dragon Boat Mountain this time. Therefore, he had to obtain the Heart of Desolation. Young man, there are a lot of experts here. I can see that you're only at the peak of True God Realm. How about we form a team and go into the Desolate Mountain Range to explore? The old man suggested. Form a team? Lu Ming's gaze flickered. That's right. Look, the others are also forming teams. I'm afraid it'll be very dangerous to enter the mountain range alone. The old man pointed to the front. Lu Ming looked ahead. There were already many people entering the Desolate Mountain Range. They were all in groups of 3 to 5. All right. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and nodded. This elder's cultivation was only at the 3rd level celestial deity realm. Lu Ming did not think much of him. However, the Desolate Mountain Range was extremely huge. If he were to search for the Heart of Desolation alone, it would undoubtedly be like looking for a needle in a haystack. If he were to form a team with others, at least the chances of finding the Heart of Desolation would be higher. That's great. Then let's find some more people and form a team to go in. The old man smiled and then went to greet the others. Not long after, the old man found another 6 people to form a team. The 6 of them were all at heavenly god level cultivation. Lu Ming was the only true god level. Sankei, why did you find a true god realm expert to go with us? If such a person goes in, wouldn't he be a burden to us? A woman in her 30s cast a cold glance at Lu Ming and said unhappily. This woman had an extremely seductive look and an amazing figure. However, she had an arrogant look on her face and looked down on Lu Ming. This little brother is a friend of mine. Everyone, please give this old man some face and let this little brother come along. The old man's name was Sankei, and he said with a smile. Since he's your friend, Sankei, I can give him face. But I have to say this first. After entering the Desolate Mountain Range, if we encounter any danger, I won't care about him. We can't be dragged down by a true god realm trash. The seductive woman said. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He could not be bothered to argue with the other party. This woman was only a 1st level celestial deity. Who knew what kind of mentality she had, looking down on a true god realm expert? The rest of them only cast an indifferent glance at Lu Ming and ignored him. To them, it was just a real god and they didn't need to care about him. If they were in danger, they could just abandon him. Good, good, good. Sankei laughed apologetically. The group of 8 then flew towards the Desolate Mountain Range. Chapter 2881 Ill Intentions. There were extremely powerful domains in the Desolate Mountain Range. The closer one was to the front, the stronger the domain. Therefore, if he wanted to enter the mountain range, he would have to enter from the rear end. After entering the mountain range, the effect of the domain would be greatly reduced. This way, he could slowly go deeper into the mountain range along the mountain range. Therefore, everyone entered the mountain range from the back. Lu Ming's group of 8 flew in from the rear. As soon as they entered the Desolate Mountain Range, Lu Ming felt a powerful domain acting on his body, almost dragging him down the mountain range. They hurriedly circulated their divine power to resist the domains of the outside world and slowly descended to the ground. Roar! They had just landed when a loud roar rang out. It was a desolate beast. In the Desolate Mountain Range, there were also many wild beasts. Some of the wild beasts were very strong, but this wild beast only had the strength of a 9th stage true god. A mere true god realm, trying to sneak attack. You're looking for death. The seductive woman shouted coldly. A sword light flashed and cut the wild beast in half. Then, she glanced at Lu Ming coldly as if to say that it was useless to see it. True god-level experts were so vulnerable. Lu Ming could not be bothered with this woman. In Lu Ming's heart, this woman was an idiot. Being ignored by Lu Ming, a cold glint flashed in the seductive woman's eyes. A mere true god actually dared to ignore her. He really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Follow me, Sankei said, and then walked in one direction. The group followed Sankei. Along the way, they were attacked by wild beasts from time to time. However, the level of the wild beasts here was not very high. Most of them were below the heavenly god realm. There were not many of them who had reached the heavenly god realm. They were not a threat to Lu Ming and the group and were easily killed. Half a day later, they were millions of miles deep into the mountain range. At this point, the domains of the desolate mountain range were already extremely astonishing. The pressure was getting greater and greater. At this point, let alone flying, even circulating divine power was somewhat difficult. At this time, they came to a huge valley. At this point, Sankei suddenly stopped. Sankei, why are you not moving? Do you even know where the heart of desolation is? One of the burly men asked. He. Sankei let out a few strange laughs and swept his gaze across Lu Ming and the rest of the 7 people. I don't know where the heart of desolation is, but I do know that you're going to die soon, he. Among the 7 of them, apart from Lu Ming, everyone's expression changed. Sankei, what do you mean? What are you trying to do? The seductive woman glared at Sankei. What are you doing? It's very simple, hand over all your treasures and I can leave your corpses intact. Otherwise, I can only feed you to the wild beasts. Sankei sneered. Sankei, you brought us here with ill intentions indeed. However, it's a little ridiculous that you think you can kill us. One of the burly men was much calmer than before. He spoke coldly and emitted a powerful aura. 4th level celestial deity. This burly man was a 4th level celestial deity realm, even higher than Sank's 3rd level celestial deity realm. The burly man's powerful aura pressed down on Sankei, but Sank's expression did not change at all. In fact, the killing intent in its eyes became even stronger. All of you, come out. Sankei called out. Buzz. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. As Sank's voice rang out, a few figures suddenly rushed out of the valley. There were a total of 11 figures. They moved at an astonishing speed, like a stream of light. In a few flashes, they had surrounded Lu Ming and the rest. Sankei, you set up an ambush here, you tricked us. Damn it. The seductive woman, the burly man, and the others all shouted with a crazed expression. At this time, no matter how stupid they were, they also understood what was going on. When Sankei asked them to form a team, it was a complete trap. He had already planned to let the others lie in ambush here to kill and steal. They had been tricked. It's him. Lu Ming's expression was very calm. However, when he saw one of the burly men, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. The burly man was the one who attacked Lu Ming's warship from the Starry Sky battleship. At that time, Lu Ming did not pay much attention to it. He did not expect to meet this burly man again. Moreover, he was robbing him with Sankei and the rest. He had to admit that enemies were really bound to meet on a narrow road. Hand over all your treasures so we don't have to do it ourselves, Sankei sneered. However, no one had moved. Who would hand over their treasures so easily? Why are you talking so much nonsense with them? Just kill them directly to avoid any more trouble. The burly man who had attacked Lu Ming earlier shouted coldly, exuding a powerful aura. This burly man also had a 4th-level celestial deity cultivation. In reality, there were a total of 6 4th-level celestial deity existences in this group. On the other hand, Lu Ming and the rest only had a 4th-level celestial deity. The difference was too great. You want me to hand over the treasure? Dream on. On Lu Ming's side, the 4th-level celestial deity existence roared loudly and burst out with all his strength, charging to the side. Boom! He punched out, and his aura exploded, crushing forward. He wanted to kill a path of blood and escape. You're looking for death. A few experts from the other side shouted coldly and attacked the burly man at the same time. These few people were all 4th-level celestial deity powerhouses. They joined forces to charge towards that burly man, displaying a terrifying killing move. It was impossible to fight against 3 people alone. 2 of their attacks landed on the burly man's body. The burly man let out a blood-curdling scream and was sent flying. He spat out a large mouthful of blood and was already half dead. The seductive woman and the others' faces were as white as snow, without a trace of blood. The strongest among them had almost been killed in one move. They had even less hope now. Many people revealed looks of despair. Brother Sankei, brothers, as long as you don't kill me, I'll give you anything you want. The seductive woman had a charming smile on her face. She swayed her slender waist and looked at Sankei and the others with her charming eyes. Bitch, get lost. This move of yours is ineffective against us. Attack and kill them. Sankei shouted coldly. In their line of work, they would never leave anyone alive, no matter how coquettish the seductive woman was. Boom! Boom! Sankei and the others immediately attacked. Brat, I'll be the first to send you on your way. Sank's eyes glowed coldly as he stared at Lu Ming. He was the first to charge at Lu Ming. His blood-red claws were aimed at Lu Ming's heart. However, after a cold light flashed, Sank's body froze. His eyes were wide open, revealing a look of disbelief. His heart had been pierced by a spear. This long spear was naturally thrust by Lu Ming. Chapter 2881 Origin Energy Path. You, Sankei looked at Lu Ming in disbelief. Then, it looked extremely frightened. He had never expected that Lu Ming, who was only at the 9th stage of True God Realm, would attack so quickly. He did not even see clearly how Lu Ming attacked, and the long spear in Lu Ming's hand had already pierced his heart. He knew that he had encountered a terrifying heaven's favorite, a heaven's favorite whose combat strength could not be measured by cultivation. Spare! Spare! My life! Blood kept oozing out of Sank's mouth as it tried to beg for Lu Ming's mercy. Let's go! Lu Ming said coldly. With a shake of the long spear, Sank's body was torn into pieces and he died on the spot. Brat, you're looking for death, the burly man who had attacked Lu Ming's interplanetary warship earlier roared and charged toward Lu Ming. His 4th-level celestial deity aura crushed towards Lu Ming violently, wanting to kill him. Divine Dragon Phenomenon. A deep voice came out of Lu Ming's mouth. Then, 2 9-clawed divine dragons appeared in the sky. The 9-clawed divine dragons slithered and pounced toward the other party. The 2 9-clawed divine dragons had 18 claws in total. They tore through the air with astonishing power. The burly man's expression changed drastically. His palm turned pitch black as he continued to slash out to clash with the 9-clawed divine dragon's claws. Boom! 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 Terrifying collisions continued to ring out. In an instant, they had exchanged dozens of blows. The burly man's expression changed drastically as he retreated. Blood spurted from his mouth as he was severely injured. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, even if he did not transform into the ancient god body, the power of the battle formula would be terrifying. It was not something that the other party could withstand. Roar! Roar! The two nine-clawed divine dragons roared and continued to pounce at each other. Their dragon claws tore down and tore each other into pieces. How is that possible? Lu Ming had killed 2 experts in a row. The others were finally shocked. They exclaimed one after another, their faces full of disbelief. At first, they thought that Lu Ming was only at true god level and did not take him seriously at all. At this moment, Lu Ming's unbelievable combat strength made them extremely frightened. Good, good, the seductive woman and the others were also at a loss for words at first, but they immediately revealed ecstatic expressions. Lu Ming actually had such strong combat abilities. They were saved. Kill! Lu Ming changed his direction and shouted. Another nine-clawed divine dragon appeared in the sky. A total of 3 nine-clawed divine dragons pounced on the others. At the same time, Lu Ming waved his long spear and cast the 3 apocalyptic strikes at another person. Pfft! The crescent-shaped spear light struck down and a 4th-level heavenly god expert was split into 2. Then, the 3 nine-clawed divine dragons joined forces and killed the other 4th-level heavenly god. It was a complete suppression. Go, quickly leave, the others were shocked and retreated in all directions. Lu Ming rushed forward and killed 2 more people. He did not continue to pursue them. Soon, those people disappeared into the vast mountains. The seductive woman and the rest looked at Lu Ming with eyes full of shock and horror. They knew that they had met a peerless genius. Lu Ming, thank you for your help just now. I can't thank you enough. The few of them thanked Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you're really amazing. I was wrong about you. I apologize to you. The seductive woman turned her gaze and smiled sweetly. She twisted her slender waist and walked toward Lu Ming. She even threw him flirtatious looks, as if she was trying to seduce him. Lu Ming cast an indifferent glance at the other party. He could not be bothered to say a word and turned to leave. This woman had a snobbish look on her face. Previously, when she saw that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at true god level, she ridiculed him. Now that Lu Ming had revealed his amazing abilities, she immediately came to Lu Ming. It could be said that he was extremely shameless. Brother Lu Ming, where are you going? I'll go with you. The seductive woman quickly followed Lu Ming. Get lost. Lu Ming turned around and shouted coldly. His eyes were sharp and exuded a cold killing intent. The seductive woman's face turned pale and she stopped in her tracks, not daring to approach. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he turned into a ray of light, leaving the place. This Lu Ming must be from the Qin Heaven 13 clans. He might even be a peerless genius from the 3 overlords. We've been wrong. That's right. People like you have very high standards. You're delusional to think that you can seduce others with your kind. The others looked at the seductive woman with ridicule, making the seductive woman so ashamed that she wanted to bleed. After Lu Ming set out alone, he headed straight into the depths of the desolate mountain range. Along the way, there were more scares than dangers. Not long after, Lu Ming was already halfway into the desolate mountain range. At this moment, Lu Ming noticed that there were people constantly rushing in one direction. Lu Ming's gaze flickered and he followed in that direction. After flying for a while, a lake appeared in front of them. Many people were gathered around the lake. Everyone was staring at the lake. Could it be that the heart of desolation is here? Lu Ming pondered. Walala. The water in the lake churned and the waves rose to the sky, creating thousands of waves. Then, a shocking scene appeared. A violent explosion suddenly erupted from the bottom of the lake, blasting the water in the entire lake into the sky. The lake water splashed everywhere, revealing a dark cave below. Boom! 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 Tentacles suddenly reached out from the bottom of the cave. However, these tentacles weren't the tentacles of a living being. They were made of energy. After they were waved, they were like paths that paved the sky. There were a total of 81 fish. This is the path of vital chi, and the heart of desolation is inside. Only by stepping on the path of vital chi can one enter the cave and obtain the heart of desolation. Someone shouted. The heart of desolation is mine, let's go. Immediately, some people rushed towards the path of origin energy and landed steadily on it. Why can't I step on it? He asked. I can't either. I understand now. A Yuan Qi path can only accommodate one person. Once one person steps on it, the other person can't go up. Someone saw through the trick. Once one person in front of them stepped onto the path of vital chi, if others wanted to continue, they would be blocked by a powerful force and be stopped outside the path. One path of vital chi could only accommodate one person. There were a total of 81 paths, and only 81 people could enter the cave. However, there were thousands of people here. Out of thousands of people, only 81 people could enter. After thinking this through, everyone's eyes shone with a fiery light and they immediately made their moves. This path is mine, get lost. Someone exploded and launched a powerful attack at the person who stepped on the road. Although they couldn't enter, there was no obstruction to attack from the outside. Ah, arg! A blood-curdling screech rang out. One of the vital chi paths, a person with insufficient cultivation, was directly killed, and fresh blood splattered onto the vital chi path. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2882 Snatching a Path. A chaotic battle broke out. Thousands of people charged towards the 81 Yuan Qi paths and began a bloody battle. Get lost, this road is mine. You're the one who should get lost, die. The heart of desolation was extremely precious. Many people's eyes turned red as they charged towards the 81 paths of vital chi. Blood splattered everywhere, and miserable cries rang out continuously. People were constantly killed. A large number of True God Realm experts died in an instant. The remaining True God Realm experts finally sobered up a little and retreated in fear, withdrawing from the fight. They understood that with their cultivation, they could not compete with the gods at all. Otherwise, they would only die. However, there were still a lot of heavenly god-level figures, and the battle was even more intense. But among them, some people's cultivation was extremely profound, reaching 7th level celestial deity. 7th level celestial deity absolutely belonged to the top existences among these people. Divine power was like a tide. With a punch, a few people were killed. No one could stop it at all. There were more than a dozen of such people, and they directly occupied more than a dozen paths of vital chi. In addition, some 6th level celestial deity existences were also extremely terrifying. They suppressed everyone and also occupied some vital chi paths. The ones with the most competition were some 5th or 4th level heavenly deities. There were many people with such cultivation, more than 81 of them. They knew that they couldn't compete with those 6th or 7th level heavenly deities, so they gathered on the other paths of vital chi and the competition was very intense. Lu Ming did not make a move at first. After a while, he flew toward one of the essence chi paths. This True God Realm brat actually dares to go up. He's really looking for death. You're too greedy, you won't live long. When some True God level figures saw Lu Ming, they mocked him one after another, waiting to watch a good show. Lu Ming's speed was very fast and he had already arrived at the intersection of the path of vitality. A True God Realm kid also came to join in the fun. He's looking for death. A burly man at the celestial deity realm threw a punch at Lu Ming, creating a terrifying whistling sound. "Get lost!" Lu Ming shouted coldly and activated the fourfold combat power of the battle formula. His long spear vibrated and he lashed out at his opponent. The spear collided with the fist, causing a violent boom. The fist force of the burly man was instantly destroyed. His body trembled violently and he was forced to retreat, spitting out a large mouthful of blood. How is that possible? The others were dumbfounded. In particular, those true god-level people who ridiculed Lu Ming were dumbfounded. This kid, a true god realm, actually has such strong power. Kill him first. An elder shouted and charged at Lu Ming with a violent aura. This person was shockingly a 5th-level celestial deity. Get lost, Lu Ming shouted and stepped forward. With every step he took, a 9-clawed divine dragon would appear above his head. After 3 steps, 3 9-clawed divine dragons had appeared above his head. The 3 9-clawed divine dragons roared furiously as they charged toward each other. At the same time, 9 ice chains appeared on Lu Ming's body and wrapped around his opponent, emitting a shocking cold air. Before he transformed into the ancient god body, Lu Ming had to use all his strength to fight against a 5th-level celestial god. 3 apocalyptic strikes, moon cutting. He held the spear with both hands and struck out 3 times. 3 crescent-shaped spear lights slashed toward the other party. Boom! 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 The two of them collided and fought fiercely. For a time, it was difficult to separate. However, the others took the opportunity to rush toward the path of vital chi. "Kid, I'm done fighting with you." After exchanging a blow with Lu Ming, the elder retreated and charged towards a path of vital chi. Lu Ming followed suit and engaged in a chaotic battle with the others. On this path, there were 3 5th-level celestial deities and 4 4th-level celestial deities. Including Lu Ming, 8 people were engaged in an intense battle. Those below the 4th-level celestial deity realm did not have much competition power at all and were unable to join the battle. The 8 people's battle royale turned into a chaotic pot of porridge. A few 4th-level celestial deity could still hold on a few times at the start, but very soon, they could not hold on anymore. One of them was struck in a vital part by a 5th-level celestial deity powerhouse and died on the spot. Moon slaying. Lu Ming's attack also severely injured a 4th-level celestial deity. The remaining 4th-level celestial deities retreated with grave expressions. There were only 3 4th-level celestial deities left on this path. Including Lu Ming, they were still fighting. Lu Ming had no intention of using the ancient god body. The ancient god body was his trump card and he could not use it easily. After all, there would be even more terrifying competition after he passed through this path of vitality. If they really encountered the Heart of Desolation, a bloody battle would be inevitable. Lu Ming only cast various divine skills, as well as 2 secret skills, the Ice Chain and the Divine Dragon Materialization Technique, to fight with the enemy. Such a huge battle consumed a lot of their divine power. After hundreds of moves, the divine power of the others was almost exhausted. However, Lu Ming was still full of energy. Lu Ming began to gain the upper hand. And at this time, those 7th-level and 6th-level celestial deities already entered the depths of the cave. The other 3 were getting anxious. This kid is too strange. He has the true god realm cultivation base, but he has such thick god power. Why don't the 3 of us join hands to defeat him? Then, we can decide the winner. What do you think? The other 3 5th-level heavenly gods planned to join forces to deal with Lu Ming first. The 3 of them had the same intention and they hit it off. The 3 of them immediately joined forces and attacked Lu Ming. I originally wanted to keep a trump card, but I'll fulfill your wish now. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. Then, his body expanded rapidly. He began to cast the ancient god tactic and transformed into the ancient god body. However, Lu Ming did not use the ancient god tactic with all his might, nor did he transform into a green-armored ancient god. He had only transformed into the second level, the orange-armored ancient god. He was only about 30 meters tall. This way, he could save a lot of physical strength. Even after transforming into an orange-armored ancient god, Lu Ming's strength had increased by a large margin. He waved his long spear and sent a fifth-level celestial deity elder flying. Kill! Lu Ming strode forward and attacked the elder. Violent attacks poured down on the elder like a storm. How is that possible? The old man was shocked and tried his best to resist, but he could not stop Lu Ming. After barely blocking, he was killed by Lu Ming with one shot. Then, Lu Ming charged at the other two people. The other two people were shocked. They did not dare to stop Lu Ming and retreated far away. Lu Ming landed on the path of vital qi and strode forward. No one stopped him. Isn't he a little too strong? Is he still at the true God realm? Those true God realm existences in the distance were all dumbfounded, unable to react for a moment. Some people were extremely dejected. They were all at true God level, but the gap between them and Lu Ming was too great. They did not know whether they were too useless or Lu Ming was too abnormal. Lu Ming could not be bothered with these people's thoughts. He ran quickly and followed the path of the vital qi deep into the cave. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know and report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2884 Vital Energy. Day and night after Lu Ming ran on the path of vitality for a while, he used the ancient god tactic to shrink his body and return to his normal form. And NBSP maintaining the ancient god body was extremely energy draining, and he would probably need to conserve his energy in the upcoming battle. He did not know where the path of vital qi extended from. Lu Ming followed the path of vital qi and walked for thousands of miles before he finally reached the end. In front of him, a huge bubble was floating in the dark void. Tentacles extended from the bubble. These tentacles were the 81 yuan qi paths under their feet. Lu Ming's gaze was instantly attracted by something in the middle of the bubble. It was a crystal the size of a heart, emitting a brilliant light. The Heart of Desolation. Lu Ming knew that this was the Heart of Desolation. However, no one was fighting for it at the moment. Those who had entered earlier than Lu Ming were all standing at the end of the path of vital qi, looking at the Heart of Desolation with greed. These people shouldn't be able to enter. Lu Ming pondered and did not act rashly. However, before Lu Ming moved, the others did. An old woman who had entered at about the same time as Lu Ming had a glint in her eyes. She strode forward and pounced on the bubble, wanting to rush into the bubble and grab the Heart of Desolation in her hand. The others sneered as they watched. Bang! The old woman crashed into the bubble and crashed into it. With a scream, the old woman's body was pushed back, and her face was swollen, but her injuries were not serious. Stop dreaming. We can't enter this bubble now. One of them sneered. Why didn't you remind me just now? The old woman stared at the man with a dark expression. Who do you think you are? Why should I remind you? The man sneered. You, the old woman gritted her teeth. However, her cultivation level was not as high as the other parties, so she did not dare to say anything. What should we do? Are you just going to watch the Heart of Desolation in front of you and not get it? Someone said with a frown. The Heart of Desolation has appeared before. I've read about it in an ancient book. At this moment, a white-haired old man spoke. You've seen the records, so do you know how to get the Heart of Desolation? Someone's eyes lit up as he looked at the white-haired old man. I do know, so there's no harm in telling you. The white-haired elder smiled faintly. The balloon outside the heart of desolation is the vital chi day and night formed by powerful energy. The vital chi day and night will extend into 81 vital chi paths. Each time, only 81 people can follow the vital chi paths to come to the center. That's why I'm saying that there's only a way to get the heart of desolation when all 81 paths of vital chi have been stepped on by living beings. According to what you're saying, when all 81 paths of vital chi are occupied, this bubble, which is vital chi, will dissipate? Someone asked. In your dreams. Let me tell you, it's not possible to obtain the heart of desolation just because there's someone on all 81 paths of vital chi. It's not that easy to break through the vital chi day and night. You still need some luck. The white-haired old man said. What luck do you need? Old man, can't you just say everything in one go? Someone said impatiently. What's the hurry? Aren't there still many paths of vital chi that no one has yet to reach? The white-haired old man replied indifferently, then slowly said, if you want to break through the vital chi morning and evening, everyone has to join forces. Everyone on the 81 paths of vital chi has to join forces and inject their divine power into the vital chi morning and evening to activate the vital chi pillars. Only by activating 999 vital chi pillars can you break through the vital chi morning and evening. So it's that simple. I'll go first. A burly middle-aged man took the first step forward and arrived at the vital chi morning and evening. He placed his palm against the vital chi morning and evening, and rolling divine power continuously poured into the vital chi morning and evening. Buzz! The vital chi trembled slightly, and then a certain part of the body trembled more and more violently. Finally, a pillar of vital chi flew out. It was 100 meters long, like a long snake dancing in the air. Again. The middle-aged man roared and continued to pour in divine power. His vital chi vibrated day and night, and then 2 more pillars of vital chi flew out. There were a total of 3 pillars of vital chi, but there was no 4th pillar of vital chi. Come out, the middle-aged man roared angrily and continued to pour in Shen power. However, his yuan chi did not move at all. There was no reaction at all. So few, only 3? Many people looked at each other. That middle-aged burly man had a full 6th level celestial deity cultivation, but he could only activate 3 pillars of essence chi, making many people's hearts sink. To open the day and night vitality, 999 pillars of vitality were required. There were only 81 of them. According to this ratio, it was impossible to open the day and night vitality. The burly man himself was so ashamed that his face turned red. I'll do it. Following that, another middle-aged woman stepped forward and injected her divine power into the vital chi. This person was also a 6th level heavenly deity, but she could only activate 3 pillars of vital chi with all her might. This made many people's faces even uglier. Following that, a 7th level celestial deity existence stepped forward. But the situation was not much better either. He could only stimulate 5 essence chi pillars. Everyone looked at each other. According to this ratio, even if all 81 of them went forward, the yuan chi pillars they activated would not exceed 300. It was impossible to open the yuan chi morning and evening. As expected. As far as I know, although the number of yuan chi pillars activated is somewhat related to cultivation, it is more related to talent. The higher the talent, the more yuan chi pillars activated. In the past, every time the heart of desolation appeared, people began to gather in the desolate mountains. Very few people could get it because they couldn't open the yuan chi morning and night. Only after the news spread, the geniuses of all the major forces gathered together and joined forces, could they open the yuan chi morning and night. The white-haired old man from before sighed. When the heaven's favorites from the big families and sects arrive, we won't be able to get anything. No matter what, we have to try. Next, let me do it. An old woman was unwilling to give up. She stepped forward and injected her Shen power into the vital qi of day and night. This old woman was the strongest and had activated 6 pillars of Yuan qi, but it was like a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. The others were also unwilling to give up. They all stepped forward and poured in their divine power. One by one, pillars of vital qi flew out like long snakes dancing. However, some 5th-level celestial deity existences activated even fewer pillars of essence qi. Some had 2, and some even only had 1. Not long after, out of the 81 people, 80 of them had already made their move. Lu Ming was the only one who had not made his move. 80 people added up to only 251. He was a full 748 fish away from 999. Chapter 2884. One person. Everyone's faces turned ugly. Sigh, it still doesn't work, only 251. The difference is too great. We have no fate with the heart of desolation. I guess only many heaven's favorites can open the Yuan Qi day to day. Many people sighed. Some people glanced at Lu Ming and ignored him. Lu Ming was the only one who had not made a move. However, the crowd had already lost all hope. It was already a miracle that Lu Ming, a true god-level person, could make it this far. It would be considered good if he could activate even 1 pillar of primordial qi. Even if Lu Ming was young and had good talent, there was not a glimmer of hope for the remaining 700 or so. Forget it. Someone shook his head, withdrew his divine power, and retreated a dozen steps. Following that, the others shook their heads, retracted their divine power, and retreated. The pillars of vital qi also disappeared. However, no one left, because they were somewhat unwilling. This is interesting. I wonder how many pillars of vital qi I can trigger if I go forward. Lu Ming pondered in his heart and revealed a trace of interest. He then stepped forward. The moment Lu Ming moved, many people's gazes turned to him. This kid still wants to go up. We've already failed, and he still wants to go up. Is he an idiot? But speaking of which, it's not easy for this kid to come here with his true God realm cultivation. He might be a genius. No matter how much of a genius he is, how many pillars of vitality can he activate? 10, 20, even if he can activate 100, it won't help. That's right. Guess how many Yuan Qi pillars this kid can activate? How many? He's so young, yet he's able to reach this stage with such cultivation. His talent is definitely not weak. I'm guessing he can activate at least 10 Yuan Qi pillars, 10, maybe more. I'm guessing between 20 and 30. 20 to 30? That's too much. We only have 6 at most. The crowd discussed animatedly and began to guess how many pillars of vital qi Lu Ming would be able to activate. As for Lu Ming, he had already walked to the bottom of the pillar of vital qi. He stretched out his palm and placed it on the vital qi morning and evening. His divine power slowly surged into the vital qi morning and evening. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. The vital qi of day and night suddenly shook violently. Then, pillars of vital qi formed and danced in the air. 36 lines. The moment Lu Ming infused his divine power, he activated 36 pillars of vital qi. This. So many? The others were shocked. Just now, some people guessed that Lu Ming would be able to trigger between 20 to 30 veins. Some people felt that they had guessed too much and it would be difficult for Lu Ming to do it. He did not expect that Lu Ming would be able to activate 36 pillars of vital qi in an instant. However, this was not the end. Following that, the vital qi trembled even more violently, creating a loud rumbling sound like a huge wave. Hua hua hua. As the vital qi continued to flow, more pillars of vital qi burst out. This time, there were a total of 360 pillars. In addition to the previous 36, there were a total of 396. CSISI. The crowd gasped. Everyone's eyes were about to pop out, and they were speechless. 396 pillars. Everyone looked at the 390 pillars of vital qi dancing in the air and thought they were dreaming. My God, there are 396 of them. How is this possible? How is this possible? How can he trigger so many yuan qi pillars? Unbelievable, monstrous, monstrous. This man is a peerless genius. If 3 people like him came, they would be able to break through the yuan qi morning and evening. Some people shouted in shock. The number of yuan qi pillars that Lu Ming had activated alone was more than the number of yuan qi pillars that the 80 of them had activated together. However, their shock was far from over. Thump thump thump. At that moment, Lu Ming's ancient god heart started to thump loudly. Waves of ancient god aura flowed into Lu Ming's palm and into his vital qi. Buzz. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. The vital qi in the sky began to vibrate again. Then, pillars of vital qi flew out. This time, more than 300 yuan qi pillars were formed. In total, there were 700 of them. Still. Also, the others were completely dumbfounded. They were completely stunned. 700, a total of 700. In history, the most powerful genius had only triggered slightly more than 100 blood veins. How was it possible that Lu Ming had triggered 700 blood veins? How could there be such a powerful heaven's favorite in the world? The other 80 people thought that they had seen the world, but at this moment, they all felt like country bumpkins, people who had come from a poor and remote place and had not seen the world. 700, this should be the limit. The white-haired old man from before swallowed hard. His eyes were wide open, and his heart was thumping. However, the next moment, he almost fell to the ground. That was because the vibration of the vital qi had not stopped. Instead, it was vibrating even more violently. Could it be? Could it be that it can activate a pillar of vital qi? Some people said in a hoarse voice. 700 is not enough. Let's try the battle formula. A glint flashed across Lu Ming's eyes. He then started to activate the battle character formula. Lu Ming's comprehension of the battle formula was getting more and more profound. Now, he had a 50% success rate of activating the battle formula and multiplying his combat power by 4. Lu Ming's body exuded a powerful fighting spirit. Waves of powerful energy burst out from his body. Boom! 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 The vital qi shook even more violently, and then, pillars of vital qi rushed out. This time, a few hundred yuan qi pillars rushed out, filling the sky with yuan qi pillars. The number of yuan qi pillars had reached 999. The number of vital qi pillars required to open vital qi day and night was 999. Heavens! He alone has activated 999 pillars of vital qi. This is too shocking. This is unbelievable. The crowd was almost scared to death. At this moment, the vital qi trembled violently, rolling up a wave of vital qi that filled the sky. A terrifying roar was heard, and cracks appeared on the vital qi. It's about to open, the vital energy is about to open. The heart of desolation is about to be born. Many people shouted, their eyes burning with passion. This time, it was really beyond everyone's expectations. They originally thought that it was impossible to open the yuan qi at this time. They had to wait until the news spread out and the geniuses of the major forces of the Qin Heaven Star region gathered before they could open it. They never thought that they could open it now. Ha ha ha, the heart of desolation is destined to be mine. A 7th-level celestial deity expert roared loudly in his heart, his eyes burning. Although Lu Ming had activated 999 pillars of vital qi, in his opinion, Lu Ming was only talented. His cultivation and combat strength were nothing in his eyes. Chapter 2886 Strength revealed. Actually, not only did this 7th level celestial deity expert think so, the others also thought so. They had to admit that Lu Ming's talent was so high that it was unheard of. However, Lu Ming's cultivation base was only at true god level after all. Having high talent did not mean that he was powerful. They did not take him seriously at all. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the chaotic heart of the vital chi, waiting for the moment the vital chi would collapse. Boom! Finally, the vital chi exploded with a loud bang, turning into endless vital chi and dissipating into the air. The heart of desolation is mine. A 7th level celestial deity powerhouse gave a loud roar and pounced over towards the heart of desolation. Get lost, the heart of desolation is mine. Kill. The rest of the people roared and pounced on the heart of desolation with blood-red eyes. The lowest cultivation level of those who could make it this far was at least at the 5th level of the heavenly deity realm. All of them had astonishing battle prowess, and there was a total of 80 of them. They pounced toward the heart of chaos, and a chaotic battle began. Boom! 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 Everyone was engaged in an intense battle. All 80 of them wanted the heart of desolation, but the moment anyone got close to it, they would be attacked by the others. As soon as the battle began, some people had already fallen and were killed here. A few miserable cries sounded out. A few 5th level celestial deity existences were killed. However, no one retreated. They continued to attack the heart of desolation. The heart of desolation was something that even the divine kings would be tempted to fight for. It was extremely valuable. One could imagine how ordinary cultivators would be able to resist such temptation. Everyone had neglected Lu Ming. No one thought that Lu Ming was a threat. Lu Ming stood at the side with a smile and retracted his divine power. He did not make a move and just watched the tigers fight while he reaped the benefits. The battle was getting more and more intense. Some of the weaker ones were killed and killed. Finally, some people were scared and retreated out of the battlefield. Only a few 6th and 7th level celestial deities were still fighting and competing. However, no one was able to get close to the heart of desolation. This battle went on for half a day, but no one had the desire to achieve Tao. In the end, the killing stopped. The strongest group of experts stopped around the heart of desolation, facing each other and gasping for breath. It was obvious that they had used up a lot of energy. After this battle, there were only about 40 people left out of the original 80. Nearly half of them had fallen here. The remaining people stood in a stalemate and stared at each other. For a moment, no one dared to make the first move. They all knew that whoever made the first move would be surrounded and attacked by the others. No one could guarantee that they would be able to escape unscathed when they were surrounded by others. It's almost time. Lu Ming mumbled and stepped forward. Step by step, he walked towards the heart of desolation. What is this kid trying to do? Many people's eyes were focused on Lu Ming. Some of them had cold killing intent in their eyes. Could it be that this brat wants to seize the heart of desolation? You're really looking for death. Some people's eyes glowed with a cold light. Brat, stop! Someone shouted. However, Lu Ming did not stop and continued to move forward. He could not be bothered with that person. Brat, you're looking for death. The man roared and slashed at Lu Ming. This person had the cultivation of a 6th level celestial deity, but in the great battle just now, this person was already injured. Furthermore, his divine power was severely exhausted, and his combat strength was weakened a lot. He was even inferior to a 5th level celestial deity under normal circumstances. Get lost! Lu Ming shouted and attacked with all his might, whipping his spear at the man. Boom! The two of them exchanged a blow, resulting in a loud explosion. Lu Ming's figure only swayed a little, while his opponent's body trembled violently and he retreated continuously. This kid, many people's eyes focused and revealed looks of surprise. Lu Ming's combat strength had exceeded their expectations. Although that person's combat strength was much weaker, he was still not to be underestimated. On the other hand, Lu Ming's cultivation was only at true god level, but he could actually force such an expert to retreat. No wonder you could reach this place. Many people had the same thought. Lu Ming continued to rush towards the Heart of Desolation after forcing the person back. Kid, you have some strength, but it's not enough. Die. An old woman shouted coldly. She stretched out her shriveled palm and clawed at Lu Ming. One of the shriveled claws grew rapidly and emitted a disgusting smell as it clawed at Lu Ming. This old woman had a 7th level celestial deity cultivation. Previously, she stimulated 6 essence chi pillars. Her strength was extremely shocking. Even though she had used up a lot of her divine power, her power was still terrifying. However, Lu Ming was not afraid at all. Ancient God Body. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He used the ancient god tactic and his body grew rapidly. This time, Lu Ming did not hold back. He used his full strength. He turned into a 200-meter-tall green-armored ancient god and let out an ancient god's roar. Roar! With a loud roar, Lu Ming thrust his spear forward. Pfft! The old woman's palm was pierced by Lu Ming. She let out a sharp scream and retracted her claw. Her face was pale and her palm was bleeding. The others were shocked. The old woman's abilities were extremely terrifying. Although she had expended some energy, it was still very terrifying. She was actually injured by Lu Ming's spear. A true God Realm person had such terrifying battle strength? After repelling the old woman, Lu Ming's figure flashed and he rushed toward the Heart of Desolation. He wants to take the Heart of Desolation. Let's attack together and kill this person. The old woman shouted. A powerful aura erupted from her body and she charged toward Lu Ming. At the same time, the other powerhouses also charged toward Lu Ming. There were more than 10 7th-level heavenly deities and many 6th-level heavenly deities. With so many people attacking together, the power was astonishing. You're looking for death, go. Lu Ming shouted coldly. A layer of scarlet golden armor appeared on his huge body. Then, 9 ice chains flew out and wrapped around his body. Lu Ming first set up layers of defense and then charged toward the old woman. Boom! Lu Ming thrust his spear forward. A ray of spear light pierced towards the old woman as if it was a destructive force. If Lu Ming were to go all out now, he could suppress the Supreme Holy Sun. Although the Supreme Holy Sun's cultivation base was only at the 6th level of the celestial deity realm, his combat strength was strong enough to kill a 7th level celestial deity. He was probably even stronger than the old woman. Since Lu Ming could suppress the Supreme Holy Sun, it was naturally not a problem for him to deal with the old woman. Moreover, the other party's divine power had been severely depleted. Pfft! The spear radiance broke the old woman's attack. The old woman screamed and spat out a mouthful of blood as she retreated rapidly. At this moment, the other people's attacks also landed on Lu Ming. The 9 ice chains and the scarlet gold armor shook a few times before they exploded and landed on the green scales on Lu Ming's body. However, the green scales had amazing defense and successfully blocked the attacks from the others. Chapter 2886 Success. The green scales on the ancient god body had an extremely strong defense. Although the many experts had destroyed Lu Ming's ice chains and 9-layered crimson gold armor, they could not break through the defense of the green scales. Although some of the scales were broken and blood seeped out of his body, Lu Ming managed to block the attack. Lu Ming had a rough idea of his own defense. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. He no longer cared about his own defense. He waved his long spear and charged at the old woman. The old woman was already severely injured by Lu Ming and did not have the strength to fight back at all. At this moment, she retreated frantically in fear and shouted, "Save me, save me!" However, Lu Ming had resisted the other people's attacks and was charging toward him. The others wanted to save him but they were too late. Bang! The long spear thrust out, and a huge spear light crushed toward the old woman. In front of the huge spear light, the old woman's body was as small as an ant. She exploded and turned into ashes. A 7th-level celestial deity powerhouse was killed by Lu Ming just like that. After killing the old woman, Lu Ming changed the direction of his spear and attacked the others. In the process of attacking the others, Lu Ming's body kept flashing with various kinds of lights. He had 9 layers of crimson gold armor, ice chains, and even 3 divine dragons. Lu Ming did not use these godly skills and secret skills to attack. Instead, he used them for defense. Boom! 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 One attack after another landed on Lu Ming's body. His body trembled. The ice chains, the 9-layer crimson gold armor, and the divine dragon phenomenon all crumbled. However, in this way, the power of the attacks that really landed on Lu Ming's body was reduced by a lot. Lu Ming had blocked all of them. Lu Ming looked like he was covered in blood, but his vital parts were not injured. Lu Ming blocked the attacks of the others, but the others could not block Lu Ming's attacks. Lu Ming specifically targeted a 7th-level celestial deity and launched a fierce attack. Very soon, this person followed in the old woman's footsteps and was killed by Lu Ming. After killing 2 7th-level celestial deity existences in a row, the others were finally a little afraid. Their eyes were filled with fear. Some of them even slowed down their attacks, planning to escape if something went wrong. Lu Ming, on the other hand, became more and more courageous as the battle progressed. His fighting spirit soared. A terrifying spear radiance was continuously thrust and swept out. Not long after, 2 more people were killed. Not good. Retreat. Some of them were terrified. Seeing Lu Ming coming, they did not dare to fight back and retreated, afraid that Lu Ming would target them. Buzz. Lu Ming did not chase after him. With a sway of his body, he rushed directly towards the Heart of Desolation. When he was close to the Heart of Desolation, no one was competing with him. Lu Ming grabbed the Heart of Desolation and kept it in his storage ring. Damn it, my chaotic heart. Many people were roaring in their hearts. They watched helplessly as Lu Ming kept the Heart of Desolation. They were extremely envious but no one dared to step forward to stop him. Lu Ming's combat strength was too strong. The main thing was that his defense was too strong. They could not break through Lu Ming's defense and could not give him a fatal blow. If it was another expert who had similar attack power as Lu Ming but did not have such a strong defense, he would definitely not be a match for so many of them. He would be killed by their joint attack. It was a pity that after Lu Ming transformed into the ancient god's body, his defense was too strong. He could withstand their attacks and then chase after one person. This made them frightened. The Heart of Desolation, I've finally gotten it. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled into a smile. He then rushed in the direction he came from. No one stopped Lu Ming wherever he went. Although the Heart of Desolation was precious, it was far less valuable than his own life. Lu Ming left the place unimpeded and went outside. Outside, many people cast suspicious glances at Lu Ming. You're out? What was going on inside? Did anyone get the Heart of Desolation? You seem to be heavily injured. You must have been seriously injured and withdrawn from the competition, right? Many people saw that Lu Ming was the first one to come out and immediately started asking questions. That's right. They're fighting for the Heart of Desolation and there's a great battle going on inside. My cultivation base is too weak and I can't defeat them. I'm lucky to have survived. Lu Ming said. Everyone nodded and believed that Lu Ming was telling the truth. No one suspected that Lu Ming had obtained the Heart of Desolation. Therefore, no one suspected Lu Ming. He left the place without any obstacles and headed out of the desolate mountain range. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, you're quite lucky. You didn't get the desolate grass, but you got the Heart of Desolation. If you use the Heart of Desolation to refine a formation disk, its power will be even more astonishing. At that time, you'll have a higher chance of dealing with that dragon boat. In his sea of consciousness, the Bone Demon laughed heartily, sighing at Lu Ming's luck. Lu Ming was very happy. Now that he had found all the things that the Bone Demon had mentioned, he could return to Kongxian's sect and refine the array disk. If the Dragon Boat's mountain wanted to sacrifice him to break the Rising Dragon formation, it wouldn't be that easy. Not long after, Lu Ming left the Mountains of Desolation. After spending some time, he returned to the Kongxian sect. After returning to Kongxian sect, Lu Ming went to look for Ouyang Qingxiang. Lu Ming, you want to see my grandfather? Ouyang Xiangxiang asked in surprise. Yes, I have something that I would like to ask Senior Yu for help. Lu Ming nodded. The disc array that Bone Demon had mentioned was extremely profound. With Lu Ming's current cultivation base, he could not refine it at all. Only a God King could refine it completely and unleash its full power. However, it was easier said than done to get a God King to help. Therefore, Lu Ming immediately thought of Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather, Yu Wuya. Lu Ming had helped Ouyang Qingxiang to become the Zongzi of the Kongxian sect. There was no reason for Yu Wuya to reject Lu Ming. I'm asking my grandfather for help. It's a small matter. Come with me. Ouyang Qingxiang nodded, then brought Lu Ming to Yu Wuya's cultivation place. When they arrived at Yu Wuya's cultivation place, Lu Ming waited outside while Ouyang Xiangxiang went in to look for Yu Wuya. Not long after, Ouyang Xiangxiang came out with a smile on her face. Lu Ming, my grandfather just came out of seclusion. I'll bring you to see him. Lu Ming nodded and followed Ouyang Qingxiang to a large hall where he met Yu Wuya. Junior Lu Ming greets Senior Yu. Lu Ming cupped his fists and saluted. After all, the other party was a Divine King expert, a top-notch expert from the Qin Heaven Star Zone. He still had to show some courtesy. Lu Ming, you're welcome. Sit. Yu Wuya smiled and invited Lu Ming to take a seat. Lu Ming had helped Ouyang Xiangxiang obtain the Zongzi position, and Yu Wuya's impression of Lu Ming was extremely good. The more he looked at Lu Ming, the more he liked him. He was even thinking about how to match Lu Ming and Ouyang Xiangxiang together. This way, Ouyang Xiangxiang's position in the Kongxian sect would be as stable as Mount Tai in the future. Therefore, he was naturally very polite to Lu Ming. Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang took their seats and someone came to make tea. Chapter 2887 Formation plate in hand. Yu Wuya picked up the teacup and took a sip. Then, his gaze fell on Lu Ming and he asked, I heard from Qingxiang that you have something you need my help with? Yes, Senior Yu. Junior wants to refine a type of formation disc, but Junior's cultivation level is too low, so Junior can't refine it. Only God King experts can refine it, so Junior thought of Senior. Lu Ming did not hide anything and told him his purpose directly. What formation plate? It even requires a God King to refine it? Yu Wuya was also interested. Senior, please take a look. Lu Ming took out a jade talisman and with a wave of his hand, the jade talisman flew towards Yu Wuya. Yu Wuya took it and scanned it with his spiritual sense, reading the contents of the talisman. After a while, Yu Wuya revealed an expression of surprise, and said, What a profound formation plate. The method of making such a formation plate is truly unheard of. It's amazing, amazing. No wonder you can't make it with your cultivation base, hee. Don't you know who gave you the array disc? How can the array disc given by this lord be bad? The Bone Devil's proud voice sounded. Senior, this is something this junior obtained by chance while exploring some ancient ruins. May I ask if Senior is able to refine it? Lu Ming asked. This old man can refine it, but the materials needed to refine this array disc are quite rare. Even this old man can't gather them in a short time. Wuxia said. Senior, the materials are not a problem, this junior has already gathered them. After Lu Ming finished speaking, he took out the materials needed to refine the array disc one by one. The Heart of Desolation? Lu Ming, you actually have the Heart of Desolation? When he saw Lu Ming take out the Heart of Desolation, even Wuxia was shocked. Lu Ming's weight in his heart increased even more. This junior got this by luck. Lu Ming said humbly. Wuxia smiled. He knew that Lu Ming was being humble. If he could get it if he was lucky, why couldn't others get it? Lu Ming, since the materials are ready, I can start refining now. However, it will take a few months to complete the refining. I'll send someone to inform you when I'm done. Wuxia said. Many thanks, Senior. Senior, Junior has a request. I hope that Senior will not tell anyone else about the formation plate, especially the other god kings. Lu Ming said. If news of this formation plate were to spread to Dragon Boat Mountain or if Dragon Boat Mountain were to see it, it would most likely cause Dragon Boat Mountain to be on guard. Wuxia looked at Lu Ming in surprise. He did not understand why Lu Ming did not dare to let the other god kings know about this. However, he did not probe further and nodded. Don't worry, I won't let a second person know. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists in thanks and left the place with Ouyang Qingxiang. It could be refined in a few months' time, and there was enough time. Dragon Boat's Mountain had given Lu Ming 10 years. After returning to his residence, Lu Ming cultivated in peace. In the blink of an eye, a few months had passed. Wuxia had already finished refining the array disc and asked Ouyang Xiangxiang to bring it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief and felt much more confident. This kind of cultivation is too slow. Wanting to break through to the celestial deity realm within 10 years is simply impossible. On this day, Lu Ming ended his cultivation and frowned in deep thought. From peak 9th stage true god to celestial deity realm, there was a huge natural chasm. Wanting to break through was seriously too difficult. 99% of the people were stuck at the peak of true god forever, unable to break through. Only those with extraordinary talent, after a long period of accumulation, or by chance, could break through. Therefore, those who could break through to the heavenly god realm were mostly geniuses who had mastered king-grade divine power. The higher the level of Shen power, the easier it would be to break through. Most of those who controlled ordinary divine power found it difficult to break through to the heavenly god realm. Of course, it was not absolute. There were also those who controlled ordinary divine power who broke through to the heavenly god realm, but they were very few, very few. However, even the heavens' favorites with the highest level of divine power would find it hard to break through to the celestial god realm within 10 years after just breaking through to the peak of stage 9 true god realm, unless they had a great opportunity. Lu Ming frowned. He had no doubt that if he could not break through to the enlightened master level within 10 years, the dragon boats would really attack him. Lu Ming was thinking about what method he could use to quickly make a breakthrough in his cultivation level. At this moment, Lu Ming's heart stirred. He sensed that someone was coming to the courtyard. Lu Ming walked out of the courtyard and saw a white-haired elder standing in the air. Holy Son Lu Ming. The white-haired old man nodded with a smile. Elder Lu, why have you come to find me? Lu Ming asked. Lu Ming recognized this white-haired elder. He was an inner sect elder. The sect master has summoned all the holy sons and holy virgins. He has a mission for you. Elder Lu said. A mission? He even gathered all the holy sons and holy virgins? What is the mission? Lu Ming was puzzled and asked. To be honest, I don't know either. I'm only in charge of passing on the message. Holy Son Lu Ming, follow me. A senior elder will tell you later. Elder Lu said courteously. Then, Lu Ming followed Elder Lu and flew toward the depths of the inner sect. Soon, the two of them arrived at the peak of a mountain. Everyone's here. Lu Ming looked around and saw that the Supreme Saint Sun, the Transient Light Saint Sun, the Yen Kong Saint Sun, the Xia Saint Sun, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the Xuetan Saint were all here. Everyone's gaze fell on Lu Ming when they saw him approaching. Especially the Supreme Holy Sun. A cold glint flashed in his eyes, revealing a wisp of killing intent. However, it was only a flash before it was concealed. However, Lu Ming's spiritual senses were very sharp and he could still clearly capture it. You want to kill me? Humph, it's best if I don't find an opportunity. A murderous intent flashed across Lu Ming's heart. It was obvious that the Supreme Holy Sun had lost to Lu Ming last time and held a grudge against him, wanting to kill him. If there was a chance, Lu Ming would not be soft-hearted and would find a chance to get rid of such a person. His gaze swept past the Supreme Saint Sun, the Transient Light Saint Sun, and the others before landing on an old man at the very front. Doyen. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. From the old man's attire, Lu Ming could tell that he was an elder of the Kongxian sect Senate, a divine king. Elder Lu landed in front of the Doyen and bowed respectfully. Grand Elder, I've brought Holy Son Lu Ming. You may leave. The Doyen said indifferently. Then, Elder Lu left respectfully. Only Lu Ming, the holy sons and holy virgins, and the Doyen were left on the mountain peak. You must be very curious about what kind of mission has gathered you all here for, right? The elder smiled. That's right. Grand Elder Fan, may I know why you've gathered all of us at the same time? The Supreme Saint was the first to ask. This time, there's indeed a big matter that requires all of you to join forces. The location will be in Dark Light Galaxy. As for the specific matter, don't be in a hurry. Follow me. When we reach Dark Light Galaxy, I'll naturally tell you. Let's go. After Elder Fan finished speaking, he headed in the direction of the teleportation array. Everyone could only carry their doubts as they followed Grand Elder Fan and stepped into the teleportation array. Refining a star core Dark Light Galaxy was an extremely remote galaxy in the Qin Heaven Galaxy. It was even more remote than the chaotic Astral River. This was because there were very few living beings in this galaxy. There were even fewer cultivators and very few deities. Thus, very few people would come here. Each major force had only set up a symbolic teleportation point in Dark Ice Galaxy and sent a few people to guard it. Through the teleportation array, Lu Ming and the rest arrived at the teleportation point. Then, Grand Elder Fan waved his hand and a divine force enveloped them, bringing them to the starry sky of the universe at an extremely fast speed. What a shocking speed! Lu Ming looked at the stars flying past him one after another and he was shocked. The Divine King experts were too fast. They were faster than most of the starships. In fact, after reaching the Divine King realm, there was almost no need to use an interplanetary warship. Unless it was a rare and high-grade one, the speed of an ordinary interplanetary warship couldn't even match the flying speed of a Divine King. Half a day later, a dazzling light suddenly flashed in the starry sky ahead. In the starry sky ahead, circles of light appeared. They were extremely dazzling, even more resplendent than the stars, illuminating the universe. Lu Ming and the rest stopped. Everyone looked ahead in shock. It was because the rings of light were too big, many times bigger than a life planet. This is our destination. There's a galaxy ahead. Grand Elder Fan explained. Everyone looked over and saw that there was indeed a galaxy in front of them. At the core of this galaxy was a star. However, this star's light was extremely dim, as if it was going to be extinguished at any moment. There were about a dozen planets revolving around the star. The rings of light were emitted from the surroundings of this galaxy. One could imagine how huge it was. Boom! Boom! At this moment, a series of terrifying rumbles burst out from the periphery of the galaxy. A brilliant divine light illuminated the starry sky, and the terrifying explosion shook the entire galaxy. There's an expert attacking that galaxy, Ouyang Qingxiang exclaimed. That's right. There are indeed experts attacking this galaxy. It's the sect heads of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans and some God King elders. Grand Elder Fan explained. Lu Ming and the rest were even more shocked. The sect heads of the Qin Heaven 13 clans had actually arrived. There were also some Divine King Realm elders. They were all attacking this galaxy. What was inside this galaxy? Let me tell you. Someone has set up a formation in this entire galaxy. The rings of light are the light from the formation. The sect heads of the Qin Heaven 13 clans and the God King experts will find it difficult to break through. Grand Elder Fan explained. Use the galaxy to set up a formation. Lu Ming and the group were dumbfounded. How big was a galaxy? Someone had actually set up a large formation in the entire galaxy. What kind of terrifying and grand work was this? It really made people exclaim in admiration. Elder Fan, what exactly is in this formation? You've actually attracted the attention of the heaven-raising 13 clans. Also, what does this have to do with us? The Supreme Saint asked. The sect heads of the Qin Heaven 13 clans and a few Divine King elders had come. What did that have to do with them? With their cultivation, they couldn't do anything at all. Don't be anxious. We have to start from the beginning. Following that, Grand Elder Fan explained the ins and outs of the matter in detail. Usually, no one would pay attention to Dark Light Galaxy, and almost no one would come. However, a few months ago, someone had accidentally discovered an extremely strange galaxy here. After some deliberation, they discovered that a large formation had been set up in this galaxy. Such a grand move quickly alarmed the higher-ups of the Qin Heaven 13 High School. The Qin Heaven 13 clans immediately sent experts who were proficient in formations to study it and finally came to a shocking conclusion. In the distant past, someone had set up a large formation in the entire galaxy with the star as the core, with the purpose of refining the star core. To refine an entire star into a star core. The moment this news came out, it shocked the majority of the God King experts of the Qin Heaven 13 clans. This was because once a cultivator reached the Divine King realm, he would have to condense a star core. After a heavenly god broke through to the Divine King realm, the divine fire in the body would turn into a star core. A star nucleus was the core of a star, and it contained boundless power. However, the core of a king god realm star was still very fragile and small. It couldn't be compared to the core of a star. Someone actually wanted to refine a star into a star core. A star core refined from a star was definitely a priceless treasure. If a god king could obtain it, his cultivation would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Moreover, some formation masters had already concluded that this formation had been set up for a very long time. The star had almost been refined, and the star core had been successfully refined. It would be strange if those god kings were not tempted. If they could obtain a star core, their cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. They would then be able to suppress the other god kings and dominate the Qin Heaven star realm. Hence, the sect heads of the Qin Heaven 13 clans and many other god kings descended in an attempt to fight for the star core. However, they were blocked by the formation of the galaxy. After a few months of attacks, many experts were unable to break through the formation and enter the galaxy. After the research of many array masters, it was estimated that only the prodigies of the younger generation could enter this galaxy. This was because the formation had been specially set up. If one's age exceeded a certain range, they would not be able to enter at all. That was why they had gathered them together. It's not just our Kong Xian sect. The top geniuses of the other forces have all been gathered. However, the sect leaders and the God King elders are still unwilling to give up. They want to make one last attempt to see if they can break this formation. Grand Elder Fan finally explained. Lu Ming and the group finally came to a realization. They finally knew what had happened. At the front, the sect heads and the Divine King elders were trying to break the formation for the last time. If they still couldn't break it, they would probably have to send the younger generation. No wonder all the holy sons and holy virgins were gathered here this time. They might have to compete with the top geniuses of other forces, even the geniuses of the three overlords. Boom! Boom! In the starry sky ahead, the rumbling sounds continued, and dazzling light flashed. Come with me. Grand Elder Fan led Lu Ming and the group forward. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. At this time, other streams of light also flew over from other directions. Lu Ming and the rest swept their gazes and saw that each stream of light was a figure. Each of them had a Divine King expert and a group of young people. It was obvious that these were experts from other forces, and they had brought their young Heaven's Pride experts. After flying for a while, they stopped not far from the galaxy ahead. The remnants of the three sects in this area, there were other people besides Lu Ming and the group. There were a total of 13 batches, and each batch had a few youths. The geniuses of the Qin Heaven 13 clans had all arrived. Among them, the three overlord forces, the unique Demon Academy, the indestructible Sword Sect, and the boundless Holy Land had the most people. All of them had thick auras, and their eyes were filled with powerful qi dynamic. It was obvious that they were all experts, all at the level of saints. However, some sects were much more humble. Although there were many people, and some sects even had more people than the Kong Xian sect, there were very few holy sons. Some forces only had 1 or 2. The others were not holy sons at all. They were far worse than them. The geniuses of Qintian number 13 were all sizing each other up. Supreme Universe Master, I heard that you were defeated during the Zongzi competition in the Kong Xian sect. Ha ha ha, you're really trash. At this time, a loud laughter was heard from the unique Devil Academy. Lu Ming and the rest looked in the direction of the voice. A member of the multi-eyed race. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The person who had just spoken had 4 eyes on his face. There were 2 eyes on each side of his face, and all 4 eyes were shining with a cold light. This was the multi-eyed race, also known as the 4-eyed race. Like the 3-eyed race, they were a multi-eyed race. 4 eyes Void Court, what did you say? The Supreme Holy Son's expression was extremely cold as he stared at this person. This person's name was 4 eyes Void Court. What's wrong? Did I say something wrong? I heard that you were even defeated by a new disciple of your Kong Xian sect. If you're not trash, what are you? To think that you used to be as famous as me, how disgusting. 4-eyed Kong Ting sneered, his face full of disdain. Ha ha ha, 4 eyes Void Court, you're right. Supreme Universe, you're really trash. Someone from the indestructible Sword Sect and the boundless Holy Land also sneered. This made the Supreme Holy Son's face turn even uglier and gloomier. Lu Ming, the Supreme Saint, roared in his heart. This was a great humiliation to him, and he blamed it on Lu Ming. It was all Lu Ming's fault. If not for Lu Ming, he would not have suffered such humiliation. Lu Ming, there are some people in the 3 forces that you have to be careful of. That Four-Eye Kong Tong is as famous as the Supreme Holy Sun. He's extremely talented and powerful. I'm afraid he's even stronger than the Supreme Holy Sun. Ouyang Qingxiang sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. There are also people like that in the Indestructible Sword Sect and the Boundless Holy Land. They're all extremely terrifying. Ouyang Qingxiang continued to send Lu Ming a voice transmission. Lu Ming nodded. I heard that there are divine sons in the three overlord forces. Where are their divine sons? Did they not come? He asked. They're all here. Ouyang Qingxiang said, did you see that cold-looking bald young man in the Unique Demon Academy? That's the divine son of the Unique Demon Academy, Mo Jui. Lu Ming looked in the direction that Ouyang Qingxiang was pointing at. As expected, he saw a bald young man among the crowd from the Unique Demon Academy. This person had an ordinary appearance and his aura was restrained. He was easily overlooked in the crowd. Lu Ming had not paid much attention to this person before. He did not expect that this person was the divine son of the Unique Devil Academy, a peerless genius who controlled divine-grade divine power. As if sensing Lu Ming's gaze, Mo Jui's gaze turned to Lu Ming as well. A dark demonic light flashed in his eyes and shot towards Lu Ming like a blade. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed and he felt a sharp pain in his eyes. He quickly circulated his energy to resist it. This person is very terrifying. Lu Ming came to a conclusion in his heart. Mo Jui stared at Lu Ming with a cold glint in his eyes. A cold smile appeared on his face. His lips moved slightly and a voice suddenly rang in Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming, you killed the holy son of my Unique Devil Academy in the ancient god world. This is a great crime, and I will make you pay with your life. Mo Jui's voice was cold and emotionless, filled with a terrifying killing intent. You want to kill me? I'm afraid you don't have the ability. Lu Ming responded strongly. Hee, you're very confident. Just wait and see. Mo Jui said coldly and did not continue. Ouyang Qingxiang did not know that Lu Ming and Mo Jui had already conversed in secret and continued to introduce them to Lu Ming. The white-robed young man with the long sword on his back is the divine son of the Eternal Sword Sect. His sword Dao is boundless, and the long sword in his hand is terrifying to the extreme. Ouyang Qingxiang said. Lu Ming's gaze shifted from Mo Jui to a young man in white from the Eternal Sword Sect. This man was called Wuji Kendo. He was extremely handsome and exuded a terrifying sword intent that was impossible to ignore. Another terrifying heaven's favorite. Lu Ming thought to himself. Sword Dao Infinitum's gaze also turned to Lu Ming. A cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. His eyes flickered like two divine swords, exuding a terrifying sword intent. Even the other paragons of the Indestructible Sword Sect standing beside him were shocked. They all moved away from him to avoid being hurt by his sword will. The burly young man in fiery red armor from the boundless sacred land is called Sangyan Pajuan. He's the deity of the boundless sacred land. Ouyang Xiangxiang introduced. Lu Ming's gaze looked over again. It was a young man who was almost 3 meters tall. He was unusually burly and wore a thick, fiery red armor, giving off a strong sense of oppression. The pressure he gave off was not any weaker than Mo Jui's. He was also a terrifying heaven's favorite. Lu Ming took note of the 3 people. Many geniuses from the Qin Heaven 13 clans came. However, only these 3 people made Lu Ming feel threatened. He didn't care about the others. Boom! Boom! Just as everyone was sizing each other up, the explosions in front of them became even more intense. They could see that around the galaxy, circles of dazzling light were constantly shining, blocking the terrifying attacks. After a while, the attacks stopped. Then, streams of light flew over. The sect heads of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans and the other God King experts had returned after breaking the formation. The next moment, 5 figures appeared in front of Lu Ming and the rest. The leader of the group was the sect leader of the Kong Xian sect, Dragon Boats. The other 4 were all founding members of the Kong Xian sect, God Kings. The auras of the 5 people from Dragon Boat Mountain were all fluctuating. It was obvious that they had used up a lot of their energy to break the formation. "How is it, Sect Master? You still can't break it?" Grand Elder Fan said. "I can't break it." Dragon Boat Mountain shook his head. Then, his gaze fell on Lu Ming and the rest. "Next, I'll have to rely on you guys. Don't worry, Sect Master. I'll do my best to help you get the Star Core." The Supreme Saint hurriedly said. "There's no need for you to obtain the core of a star. With your cultivation, you won't be able to obtain a star core. According to the speculation of a few formation masters, there should be some formation plates in this galaxy." Entering the galaxy, that's right. The person who set up the array didn't completely seal Lu Ming off. When he set up the array, he left a possibility behind, which is the array plate. According to the speculations of several array masters, there should be 12 array plates in the galaxy. As long as we hold the array plate, we can enter the galaxy without any obstructions and obtain the star core. Therefore, your mission this time is to enter the galaxy and find an array plate. You must at least obtain an array plate. Dragon Boat Mountain said. "Don't worry, Sect Master, this disciple will definitely do my best. Even if I have to risk my life, I will obtain an array plate." The Supreme Holy Sun was the first to speak again. "The task this time won't be easy. The other forces have also sent out all their geniuses. So, I'll give you an array plate, at least one. Of course, the more the better. Also, those array plates are scattered on different planets in the galaxy. It won't be easy to find them." Dragon Boat Mountain said. Lu Ming and the rest were silent and they started to think. It seems that the star core is very important to the Dragon Boat Mountain. Lu Ming's heart stirred. However, although entering that galaxy this time is dangerous for you, it's also an opportunity. Countless years ago, there was an Almighty who set up an array here to refine the star into a star core. Now that the star core is formed, other treasures will appear in the galaxy along the way, such as some extremely precious refining materials, and even star core fragments may appear. Dragon Boat Mountain said. "A star core fragment?" Lu Ming, the Supreme Holy Sun, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the others' eyes lit up with a fiery light. "That's right, it's a star core fragment. After all, we're going to refine this star into a star core. During the refining process, it's very possible that some star core fragments will appear. If you can get a star core fragment, it'll be a great opportunity." Dragon Boat Mountain said. This made Lu Ming and the rest even more excited. "Lu Ming, this is a great opportunity for you. If you can get some star core fragments, you'll have a great chance to break through to the celestial god level in one go. Don't say I didn't give you a chance." The Dragon Boat Mountain's cold voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. There was a cold glint in Lu Ming's eyes. He did not say anything. Long Zhou's boat naturally did not have good intentions when he warned Lu Ming. He wanted Lu Ming to break through to the heavenly god realm so that he could be of use to him and help him break the trapping dragon rising to the heaven formation. Of course, Lu Ming was also very tempted by the star core fragment. He also had the intention to use the star core fragment to break through to the celestial god level. Naturally, the higher his cultivation level was, the better it would be for him in this battle with Dragon Boat Mountain. Whoever gets the array plate, I'll definitely reward you handsomely. Alright, follow me. After Dragon Boat Mountain finished speaking, he turned around and headed in the direction of the galaxy. Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, the Supreme Holy Sun, and the rest followed. In another direction, the other geniuses of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans also arrived at the edge of the galaxy under the lead of their respective sect leaders. The task I gave you is to get at least 3 out of the 12 array plates. Do you understand? The Dean of the Unique Demon Academy warned the geniuses of the Unique Demon Academy. He did not hide his voice, and it spread far and wide, allowing everyone to hear him. Don't worry, Principal. We'll definitely get 3 out of the 12 array plates. No problem. The geniuses of the Unique Devil Academy spoke one after another. They were all very confident. Your Unique Demon Academy is quite confident. However, if I don't destroy the Sword Sect, I will at least obtain 3 array plates. Are you confident? Who are you? The sect leader of the Eternal Sword Sect laughed coldly and asked the paragons of the Eternal Sword Sect. There are 3 array plates, I must get them. The paragon of the Indestructible Sword Sect roared with confidence. On the other side, the Boundless Sacred Lands geniuses roared as well. Their target was also at least 3 array plates. There were a total of 12 array plates. The 3 overlord forces were all confident that they would get 3 array plates each. This made the top 10 sects' faces solemn, and they didn't speak. Their appetites naturally weren't that big. Their goal was an array plate. As long as they could get an array plate, they would be satisfied. Alright, you guys can set off. The college chief of the Unique Devil Academy waved his hand. Yes. The geniuses from the Unique Devil Academy replied and flew toward the galaxy in front of them. There were a total of 18 planets in the galaxy in front of him, revolving around the star. There might be array plates on all 18 planets, so they could only rely on luck and randomly choose a star to fly up. However, in the beginning, they could only choose to fly to the outermost planet and start their search from the outer planets. The geniuses of the Unique Demon Academy chose a black planet and flew up. Then, the Indestructible Sword Sect and the Boundless Holy Land each chose a planet and flew up. In this way, the 3 overlord forces each occupied one of the outer planets. You guys should also set off. Dragon Boat Mountain instructed Lu Ming and the rest. Let's go to that planet first. Ouyang Qingxiang pointed at one of the blue planets. This planet was not the planet that the 3 overlord forces had entered. The others had no objections and all started flying toward it. The eyes of the people from the other sects flickered, and they also chose to fly down to the planet realm. Some sects chose to fly to the same planet. After all, the surface area of a planet was extremely large. Even if they landed on the same planet, they might not necessarily touch it. Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the rest flew into the galaxy. There was nothing unusual. Originally, the Divine King experts would be blocked by the galaxy array at this distance. However, Lu Ming and the rest were not affected. It is indeed effective, the eyes of many god kings brightened. Seeing that there was nothing unusual, Lu Ming and the rest increased their speed and flew toward the blue planet like streaks of rainbow light. As they approached, the planet grew larger and larger in front of them. At the same time, they felt a strong gravitational force acting on them. What a strong gravitational force! Everyone's expression changed slightly. They could feel that the gravity of this planet was shockingly strong. Moreover, the closer they got to the planet, the more terrifying the gravity became. In the end, when they appeared tens of thousands of meters above the star system, the gravity was already shockingly strong. They had to constantly circulate their divine power to maintain flight in order to resist the gravity. Get down. Ouyang Xiangxiang took the lead and flew down. The others followed her and landed on the ground. Bang! Bang! In the end, they landed heavily on the ground, creating huge pits. What a hard ground! Everyone's heart jolted and they were very surprised. Chapter 2891 Separate actions. Everyone found that the ground of this planet was extremely hard, like metal, not like ordinary rock at all. This place is covered by a large array all year round. That array can refine a star into a star core. Therefore, the planets surrounding the star are also affected. They are much smaller than other planets, but their density is also many times higher. The density of the objects on them is also many times higher. Ouyang Qingxiang said. Lu Ming and the group nodded. They had also thought of this. In such an environment, this planet was naturally dead silent. There were no living creatures. Everywhere he looked, he could only see bare rocks that gave off a metallic luster. Moreover, these rocks were fiery red, like pieces of rubies. Of course, these rocks would be treasures in the mortal world. However, they were of no use to Lu Ming and the rest. Although this planet is much smaller than the planets in the outside world, its surface area is still astonishingly large. I think it's better for us to split up so that it'll be easier to find the array plates. At this moment, the Supreme Holy Sun spoke coldly. That's right. I think so too. Supreme Universe, let's join forces. The Sacred Sun of Reflection said. Good, just what I want. The Supreme Holy Sun laughed. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. With a flash, the floating light Saint Sun, Ji Xia Saint Sun, Yen Kong Saint Sun, and Xuetan Saint Daughter appeared beside the Supreme Saint Sun. Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, let's have a competition and see who can get the array plate. The Supreme Saint sneered and then turned around to leave with the drift light Saint Sun and the others. Lu Ming did not stop them or say anything. The departure of the Supreme Holy Sun and the rest was exactly what Lu Ming wanted. He could not be bothered to move with them. Even if the other party didn't leave on their own, he would find an excuse to leave. Only Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang were left at the scene. The two of them discussed for a while, then randomly chose a direction and ran along the ground. The ground here was made of fiery red rocks, some of which had already crystallized. They were extremely hard, and not even a blade of grass grew on them. The two of them ran for tens of thousands of miles, but the situation was the same. They didn't find anything. The two of them were helpless and could only continue moving forward. They had no idea where the array plate was, so they could only try their luck in the dark. Just like that, a few hours passed, and they still found nothing. There's something on the ground. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He felt a slight vibration from the ground. Bang! Just as Lu Ming finished his sentence, the rocks on the ground exploded with a bang. Then, a fiery red light rushed toward Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming did not think. His divine power burst out and he threw a punch at the fiery red light. There was a loud explosion and the fiery red light was blown away. It hit the ground and created a huge pit. There are actually living beings here. Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang were both stunned. At this moment, they could clearly see what the fiery red light was. It was a living creature that looked very similar to a pangolin. Its entire body was covered in a layer of fiery red armor, and on its two claws, there were two sharp, ice-cold claws. Squeak! The pangolin squeaked and looked at Lu Ming with burning greed in its eyes. Flesh, flesh and blood, the pangolin shouted. With a sway of its body, it charged at Lu Ming again. Bang! Lu Ming threw another punch and the pangolin was sent flying. It crashed onto the ground but the pangolin shook its body and stood up. What a strong defensive power, Lu Ming's gaze flickered. He could tell that this pangolin was roughly at the first-level heavenly deity realm, but its defensive power was much stronger than other first-level heavenly deity realm creatures. An ordinary first-level celestial deity would have been torn to pieces by Lu Ming's punch. However, the pangolin seemed to be fine after being hit by Lu Ming's two punches. Flesh, flesh and blood, the pangolin let out a sharp cry and pounced at Lu Ming again. This time, a long spear appeared in Lu Ming's hands and he thrust it forward. Pfft! The long spear pierced through the pangolin's mouth and pierced through it. This time, the pangolin struggled a few times before it stopped moving. There was no sign of life left. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept the pangolin. The scales of this pangolin were extremely hard. If they were used to make armor, it would be difficult for anyone below the heavenly god realm to break through it. This was a good item. There are still living beings on this planet. How amazing! Ouyang Qingxiang also sighed. I'm guessing that it's the remaining living beings on this planet. Lu Ming said. He speculated that this planet must have had many living beings, but with the formation, the star gradually died out, and the environment outside changed greatly. Many living beings went extinct or left this place. However, some creatures had extremely tenacious vitality. They might evolve with the changes in their environment and survive tenaciously, such as the pangolin. The appearance of the pangolin caused the two of them to raise their guard. Since the pangolin could exist, there might be more creatures. There might even be extremely terrifying creatures. They had to be careful. The two of them retracted their auras and continued to advance in the same direction. Not long after, they encountered another pangolin attack. However, its strength was similar to the previous one. The two of them used their full strength and easily killed it. There are living beings here. Perhaps they know where the array plate is. Suddenly, Ouyang Qingxiang's eyes lit up. That's right, why didn't I think of that? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. With this thought in mind, the two of them felt a fire burning in their hearts. They continued to move in this direction, and sure enough, not long after, they encountered a few more pangolins. The two of them severely injured one of the pangolin creatures, while killing the rest. Speak, do you know if there are any array plates here? Lu Ming stepped on the pangolin's body and looked down at it, asking coldly. Flesh, flesh and blood, the pangolin kept struggling and growling. It did not answer Lu Ming's question. This kind of living being seems to have very low intelligence. It only knows how to devour flesh and blood, Ouyang Xiangxiang frowned. It was obvious that there were no other living creatures on this planet. These pangolin creatures were very thirsty for flesh and blood. That was why they kept attacking Lu Ming and the rest. However, its spiritual intelligence was extremely low. Since spiritual intelligence is not enough, then it'll search your soul. Lu Ming said. Then, he cast the soul-searching art and began to search his soul. Not long after, Lu Ming managed to obtain some useful information from the pangolin's soul. Chapter 2892 Fighting a Supreme. Once more the information contained in the pangolin's soul was very scattered. However, Lu Ming still managed to capture some useful information. In a certain location on this planet, there was a very strange place. Many pangolin creatures lived there. There must be something wrong with this abnormal situation. Perhaps there's an array plate in that place. Even if there's no array plate, there are other treasures. It's worth it to go. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Lu Ming, have you found anything? Ouyang Qingxiang asked. We've found something strange somewhere on this planet. Let's go take a look. Lu Ming said. At once, Lu Ming headed in a certain direction according to the information he obtained from the pangolin's soul. As they headed in this direction, they were constantly attacked by the pangolin creatures. The number of pangolin creatures seemed to have increased in this direction. Fortunately, the cultivation of these pangolin creatures wasn't very high. They were all at the first-level heavenly deity realm, and he didn't encounter any second-level heavenly deity. Although first-tier celestial deity realm cultivators had powerful defense, Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang did not feel any pressure and continued to charge through. 2 days later, they arrived at a hill. From a distance, the hills looked like giant red rubies embedded in the ground, shining with a brilliant light. From time to time, pangolin creatures could be seen crawling across the hills. According to the pangolin's memories, that special place was at the center of the hill. Boom! Boom! At this moment, a series of rumbling sounds came from the depths of the hill. In the distance, one could see beams of divine light shooting up into the sky and breaking through the firmament. On the hill, there was a huge battle. Who is it? Could it be Supreme Universe and the others? Ouyang Qingxiang's eyes flickered as she asked. It's very likely that the pangolin creatures have all gone inside. Let's go in. Lu Ming said. Within the hill, the pangolin creatures heard the commotion and ran towards the depths of the hill. Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang restrained their auras to the extreme and quietly followed. Not long after, they arrived at the depths of the hill. He saw 5 figures fighting with a group of pangolin creatures. It's them indeed. Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang exchanged glances. The 5 who were fighting the pangolin were the Supreme Saint Sun and the Transient Light Saint Sun. There were a few hundred pangolin creatures that were constantly attacking the Supreme Holy Sun and the other 4. However, although there were many pangolin creatures, their cultivation wasn't high. Most of them were first-level heavenly deities, only a few were second-level heavenly deities. As for third-level heavenly deities, there wasn't a single one. The Supreme Holy Sun and the other 4 had the upper hand. They kept breaking out of the encirclement and rushed towards a hill. Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang's eyes also swept over the hill, and their eyes suddenly lit up. There was an altar on the hill. It was not tall, only a meter or so. Runes were shining on the altar, and a bronze token was floating above it. An array plate. Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang's hearts skipped a beat. It was very likely that this was the array plate they were looking for. They didn't expect that there would really be an array plate here. Their luck was pretty good. One had to know that there were only 12 of these array plates. Charge! We must get this array plate. The Supreme Holy Sun roared. At this moment, he had already transformed into the body of the Supreme Guardian Deity. His body was huge, and he kept punching out with both fists. Every punch could send a pangolin flying. Some even exploded. Even though the pangolin had a strong defense, it couldn't withstand the Supreme Holy Sun's full-powered attack. The floating light Saint Sun and the others followed the Supreme Saint Sun on both sides. They attacked continuously and quickly approached the altar. This array plate is mine. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled into a cold smile. Since he had encountered it, how could he let the Supreme Holy Sun and the others get it? Let's go. Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang moved and rushed toward the altar. Most of the pangolin creatures were surrounding the Supreme Holy Sun and the rest. They did not notice Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang at all. Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang were unimpeded. Only a few pangolin creatures attacked them, but they were easily sent flying. They quickly approached the altar. Lu Ming, the Supreme Saint, also noticed the 2 of them and let out a furious roar. He was even more furious when he saw the 2 of them approaching the altar at a high speed. Don't even think about, the Supreme Holy Sun roared. He didn't care about his own defense and allowed the pangolin creatures to attack him. He rushed towards the altar in a frenzy. In this way, his speed was indeed much faster. However, he was still slower than Lu Ming. Very soon, Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang were less than 1,000 meters away from the altar. At this moment, they finally alerted most of the pangolin creatures. Many of them charged toward Lu Ming and Lin Feng. Song of the Green Lotus Sword, die! Ouyang Qingxiang shouted. With a wave of her hand, green lotus flowers appeared around her. Boundless sword chi burst forth, aiming for the pangolin's mouth and eyes. Immediately, many pangolin creatures were killed. Ancient God Body. Lu Ming immediately used the ancient god tactic. His body grew rapidly, turning into a green-armored ancient god that was more than 200 meters tall. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming waved his long spear and used army obliteration, sending more than 10 pangolin creatures flying. Lu Ming strode forward. In a few steps, he was near the altar. Then, the long spear vibrated and blasted the pangolin creatures away. He then stretched out a large hand and grabbed the array plate. Lu Ming, you dare! The Supreme Holy Sun roared in anger and tried to rush forward, but he was still a step too slow. Lu Ming grabbed the array plate. There was nothing unusual. Lu Ming held the array plate in his hand. Lu Ming, I found the array plate first. Hand it over. The Supreme Saint roared and finally rushed over, throwing a punch at Lu Ming. The dazzling fist radiance was like a golden sun, crushing toward Lu Ming with terrifying power. Lu Ming fired a shot with a backhand. Boom! Their attacks collided with each other, creating a deafening boom. Rings of energy spread out, sending many pangolin creatures flying. Bang! Bang! Their huge bodies swayed and they both took a few steps back. Don't you know that whoever sees it will have a share? Besides, you've only seen it and haven't obtained it yet. Why can't I do something? Lu Ming sneered in response. Then you'll die, Paragon Divine Fist. The Supreme Holy Sun roared and swung his fist at Lu Ming. Lu Ming put away the array plate and waved his long spear to kill the Supreme Holy Sun. Roar! 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 During the battle, Lu Ming cast the Divine Dragon Phenomenon art. 3 huge 9-clawed divine dragons appeared in the sky and pounced toward the Supreme Holy Sun. Chapter 2894 Killing with a borrowed knife. Lu Ming and the Supreme Holy Sun were engaged in an intense battle. The two of them had just exchanged blows some time ago. At this moment, Lu Ming still had the upper hand. Lu Ming had used all his techniques. After exchanging more than a dozen moves, Lu Ming had the upper hand. The Supreme Holy Sun was no match for him and kept retreating. Quickly come and help me! The Supreme Holy Sun roared. Behind him, the floating light Saint Sun, the Wuxia Saint Sun, and the others also rushed up. Floating light, your opponent is me, die! Ouyang Qingxiang shouted coldly and charged toward the sacred sun. Ouyang Qingxiang and the sacred sun of reflection were both at the 5th level heavenly deity realm. The two of them were engaged in an intense battle. As for Saint Sun Wuxia, Saint Sun Yenkong, and Saint Daughter Xuetan, their cultivations were much weaker. Just as they rushed toward Lu Ming, they were swept away by Lu Ming's spear and almost spat out blood. They could not interfere in the battle between Lu Ming and the Supreme Holy Sun. After a few more moves, the dragon claws of a 9-clawed divine dragon clawed on the Supreme Holy Sun's body, leaving a few deep wounds on his body. The Supreme Holy Sun roared and punched the 9-clawed divine dragon Dharma Laksana to pieces. However, Lu Ming had the measure formula. Divine power gushed into his body continuously. 3 9-clawed divine dragons were formed once again. There were still 9 ice chains. Once they were destroyed, Lu Ming would condense them again, not caring about the consumption of divine power. Damn it, damn it! Lu Ming, just you wait, the Supreme Holy Sun roared and turned to leave. He knew that it was impossible for him to snatch the array plate back now that Lu Ming had it. It would be disadvantageous for him if the battle continued. The Supreme Holy Sun turned and left. The transient light Holy Sun and the others didn't dare to continue fighting. They hurriedly followed the Supreme Holy Sun and ran away. They quickly broke out of the pangolin's encirclement and left this place. Lu Ming did not give chase. Although his combat strength could suppress the Supreme Saint Sun, defeating and killing were two completely different things. It was impossible for him to kill the Supreme Saint's son with his current strength. "We're leaving too, let's go," Lu Ming said to Ouyang Qingxiang. Then, the two of them charged in another direction. After breaking out of the encirclement, they disappeared from this world. More than 100,000 miles away, Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang found a place to rest. 2 days later, when the two of them had recovered to their peak condition, they continued their search on this planet. Unfortunately, they searched this planet for a full 7 to 8 days without finding anything. It seems like there's only one array plate on this planet. Let's go to other planets to take a look, Ouyang Qingxiang said. Alright, let's go to that planet. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and pointed to the sky. Above their heads, there was a fiery red planet floating in the air. This planet was closer to the star. Alright. Ouyang Qingxiang nodded. Immediately, the two of them shot into the sky and turned into 2 beams of light, flying toward the planet. Not long after Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang left, 5 figures appeared in a secret place not far away. They were the Supreme Saint's son, the Transient Light Saint's son, and the others. "What should we do now, Supreme Universe?" the Sacred Son of Reflection asked. "Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang must die." The Supreme Holy Sun gritted his teeth as his eyes flashed with a sinister light. "I'm afraid we can't kill Lu Ming and the rest with our abilities," Holy Maiden Xiaofan said. "If we can't kill him, someone else can." Back in the land of the ancient god, Lu Ming killed the holy sons of the unique Devil Academy and the Immortal Sword sect. Both of these forces want to get rid of Lu Ming. The Supreme Holy Sun said coldly. "You want to kill with a borrowed knife?" The eyes of the Sacred Sun and the others lit up. "That's right. Right now, Mo Jui and the others from the unique Demon Academy are on that pitch-black planet. Let's go there and inform Lu Ming of his whereabouts. Moreover, Lu Ming has an array plate on him. I believe that Mo Jui will definitely take action," the Supreme Saint's son said with a murderous aura. He glanced at the Sacred Son of Reflection and the others and continued, "As long as Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang are dead, the Kong Xian sect will still be mine. I promise that I will not mistreat you in the future. Rather than letting the Kong Xian sect fall into Lu Ming and Ouyang Xiangxiang's hands in the future, it's better to let you, the Supreme Universe, make the decision. Let's go, well go find Mo Jui and the others," the Sacred Son said. The 5 of them immediately flew toward the pitch-black planet where the unique Devil Academy was located. Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang did not spend much time and landed on the fiery red planet. The environment of this planet was even worse. This planet's gravity was stronger than the previous one, and the temperature was shockingly high. It was difficult for ordinary creatures to survive. After the two of them arrived on this planet, they started searching everywhere. "This is red mist gold." Not long after, they found a few pieces of strange metal. Scarlet mist gold was an extremely rare material for forging weapons. It could be used to forge supreme-grade divine weapons used by god kings and was extremely precious. The two of them were overjoyed. What Dragon Boat Mountain said was right. In this galaxy, there were indeed other treasures besides that array plate. This metal is also very useful to Qiuqiu. It will definitely be of great use to him if he swallows it. Lu Ming pondered. At the thought of this, Lu Ming looked at the bracelet that Qiuqiu had transformed into on his wrist. Ever since Qiuqiu had swallowed the bronze from the bronze altar in the ancient god world, it had been in a deep sleep. It still showed no signs of waking up. There were 2 pieces of crimson afterglow gold in total. Initially, they were going to split it evenly. Lu Ming wanted to buy it from Ouyang Xiangxiang with divine crystals, but Ouyang Xiangxiang shook her head and gave the crimson afterglow gold to Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not stand on ceremony and kept it. After that, they continued to search the planet and found many precious metal materials. Ouyang Qingxiang knew that these metal materials were very useful to Lu Ming and gave them all to him. She only took some divine crystals as a token. While Lu Ming and the rest were searching the planet, the Supreme Saint and the Transient Light Saint had already found Mo Jui and the rest. Supreme Universe, you actually dare to take the initiative to find us. Aren't you afraid that it'll make a move and make you stay? Mo Jui sneered at the Supreme Holy Sun and the others, killing intent flashing in his eyes. The Supreme Saint Sun, the Transient Light Saint Sun, and the others' expressions changed slightly. However, they weren't ordinary people and quickly calmed down. Mo Jui, we're not a threat to you at all. The real threat to you is Lu Ming. The Supreme Saint said. Lu Ming? You think that kid is a threat to me? Mo Jui's eyes glinted coldly as he revealed a strong sense of confidence. That's right. Without a doubt, the divine power that Lu Ming controls is also divine-grade divine power. He has also mastered a few extremely terrifying secret skills. His combat power is astonishing. If his cultivation level increases, he might be able to fight you. Also, he already has an array plate. The Supreme Saint said. Chapter 2894 Surrounded. Oh, there's an array plate? Mo Jui's eyes lit up and he looked at the Supreme Holy Sun with a faint smile. Supreme Universe, I know that you want to use me to get rid of Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming has repeatedly offended our unique demon academy and killed our Holy Sun. He deserves to die 1,000 times. Even if you don't say it, I will still kill him. Hehe, we're not borrowing your power. We're working together to get rid of Lu Ming. The array plate will be yours. Well, each take what we need. The Supreme Saint said. Whatever. Tell me, where is Lu Ming? Mo Jui said indifferently. It's on that planet. The Supreme Holy Sun pointed at the fiery red planet in the sky and said. Alright, let's go to that planet then. A cold glint flashed in Mo Jui's eyes. He took the lead and soared into the sky, flying towards the planet where Lu Ming and the rest were. At the same time, the other experts from the unique Devil Academy also followed Mo Jui. Lu Ming, let's see how you die this time. A cold glint flashed in the Supreme Holy Sun's eyes. Then, he, the Drift Light Holy Sun, and the others followed the people from the unique Devil Academy and rushed toward the planet where Lu Ming was. Not long after, Mo Jui, the Supreme Holy Sun, and the rest landed on the planet where Lu Ming was. However, they could not find him after looking around. Could Lu Ming and the rest have left this planet? A genius from the unique Demon Academy said. I don't think so. They just arrived on this planet not long ago, so they'll definitely spend some time searching. It's just that this planet is very large, so we haven't encountered them yet. The Supreme Saint said. Then well split up. Four-eyed, you take a few people with you and move together with Universe Master and the others. I'll take a few people with me. Remember, once you encounter Lu Ming and the others, immediately send me a message, in case he gets away, Mo Jui ordered. Yes, once we meet Lu Ming, he won't be able to escape. Four-eyed Kong Ting said with confidence. The eyes of Universe Master flashed, but he didn't say anything. He knew that this was the best arrangement. The Four-Eye Void Courtyard's combat strength was not any weaker than his. If he joined forces with the Four-Eye Void Courtyard, he would not have to fear Lu Ming. Once Mo Jui arrived, Lu Ming would be dead for sure. After the distribution, Mo Jui brought the few heaven's favorites and left. Four-Eye Void Court and Supreme Universe took a group of people and set off from another direction. Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang had no idea that the Supreme Holy Sun had joined forces with the unique Demon Academy and had already arrived on this planet. They continued their search on this planet. This planet really didn't have any living beings. They could only search in the dark. One had to admit that they were really lucky. 2 days later, they found an altar in a canyon. Above the altar, there was a bronze array plate floating. There were only 12 array plates in total, and they actually saw one. This luck was indeed amazing. The two of them were overjoyed. Just as they were about to fly over and take the array plate, a few figures rushed over at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Lu Ming and the rest, blocking their way. Supreme Universe, it's you again. For Eyes Void Court, why are you two together? Ouyang Xiangxiang's eyes suddenly changed after she looked around. Send a message to the Divine Child. At that moment, Four-Eye Void Court ordered one of the geniuses from the Unique Demon Academy to send a message to Mo Jui. As for himself, his 4 eyes flickered with a cold light as he stared at Lu Ming. He, Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, let's see where you can run to this time. The Supreme Holy Sun's figure flashed and appeared behind Lu Ming and the others, blocking their path of retreat. Supreme Universe, you actually joined hands with the people from the Unique Devil Academy? To deal with the disciples of Kong Xian sect? Ouyang Qingxiang angrily shouted. Her face was ugly as she looked around. She was afraid that Mo Jui would be nearby and that would be dangerous. However, she heaved a sigh of relief when she did not see Mo Jui. Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, it's your fault for being so stubborn and going against me. You deserve to die 1,000 times. The Supreme Holy Sun roared ferociously, then said to Four-Eyed Empty Court, Four Eyes Void Court, let's attack together and stall Lu Ming. There's no need for us to join forces to deal with a mere Lu Ming. Supreme Universe, I think you're becoming more and more useless. Let me do it. Four Eyes looked at the Supreme Holy Sun in disdain. He could clearly sense that Lu Ming's cultivation base was only at true God level. He did not believe that a true God level person could go against him. Boom! And NBSP die. Four-Eyed Kong Ting's body exuded a berserk energy, vast divine power surging out. He was a 6th-level heavenly god with 4 eyes. He was the same as the Supreme Holy Sun, a 6th-level heavenly god who could control the divine power. Kill! With a wave of his hand, Four-Eyed Void Court's fingers shot out beams of spear radiance. They were sharp and dazzling as they charged toward Lu Ming. Ancient God Tactic, Space Breaking. In an instant, Lu Ming cast the Ancient God Tactic and transformed into the Ancient God body. He continuously thrust the long spear in his hand and destroyed the spear radiance in the void. The body of the Ancient God. You've also cultivated the body of the Ancient God. The Four-Eyed Void Beast roared in disbelief. Its 4 eyes were filled with envy and jealousy. It turned into a stream of light and charged at Lu Ming. At the same time, his 4 eyes glowed. Then, 4 terrifying beams of light burst out and shot towards Lu Ming. The power was extremely terrifying. Break the air, Lu Ming continuously cast the first move of the 3 apocalyptic strikes, shaking the long spear. In an instant, terrifying spear radiance shot out and blocked the Four-Eyed Void's attack. He's so strong. How is this possible? At this moment, the Four-Eyed Void was shocked. He finally knew why the Supreme Holy Sun had been defeated by Lu Ming. It was not because the Supreme Holy Sun was useless, but because Lu Ming was too abnormal. A dragon's roar rang out as Lu Ming cast the Divine Dragon Materialization technique. He used all sorts of techniques to attack the Four-Eyed Void. The Four-Eyed Void Court's combat strength was indeed very powerful. It was not weaker than the Supreme Universe. The attack that burst out from its 4 eyes was especially terrifying. Even Lu Ming was rather afraid. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged more than a dozen moves. The more they fought, the more shocked Four-Eyed Void was. He felt that he was no match for Lu Ming. Supreme Universe, attack together. The Four Eyes Void Court roared. I already told you that we're going to attack together. The universe supremacy mocked him. Then, he transformed into the supreme guardian deity and charged at Lu Ming. The two of them joined forces and Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. On the other side, the others charged toward Ouyang Qingxiang, putting her in a precarious situation. We can't stay here for long. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind and planned to leave first. Even Universe Master or Four-Eyed Void Court were no match for Lu Ming on their own. However, if the two of them joined forces, Lu Ming would be no match for them. At most, he could only protect himself. Chapter 2896 Encountering Mo Jui. Even if Lu Ming could protect himself, Ouyang Qingxiang was still in danger. Therefore, Lu Ming could not be bothered to fight with the other party. Explode, 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 Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The three nine-clawed divine dragons suddenly exploded and formed a terrifying wave of energy. The Supreme Vajra, which was transformed by the Supreme Holy Sun, was pushed back continuously. Lu Ming took the opportunity to break out of the encirclement and charged toward Ouyang Qingxiang. At that moment, Ouyang Xiangxiang was fully focused on defense. Green lotus flowers floated around her to block the attacks from the outside, but she was still in a precarious situation. This was because there was an existence stronger than Ouyang Xiangxiang in the unique Demon Academy. Even if Ouyang Xiangxiang focused on defense, she would still be in great danger. Get lost. At this moment, Lu Ming had arrived. The long spear pressed down, turning into a dozen huge spear shadows that pressed down like a mountain range. Boom! 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 The spear radiance pressed down, emitting a terrifying vibration. The expressions of the floating light Holy Sun, Zhi Xia Holy Sun, Yen Kong Holy Sun, Xue Ten Holy Maiden, and the 6 Holy Sons and Holy Virgins of the unique Demon Academy all changed. Then, with a long roar, each of them burst out with their strongest attack, blasting toward Lu Ming. Boom! 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 A terrifying tremor erupted, and then more than 10 figures retreated. The Sacred Son of Reflection and the other top 10 experts were forced back by Lu Ming's attack. They were at least 100 meters away. Some of them with weaker cultivations even trembled and spat out a mouthful of blood. How terrifying! The same thought emerged in their hearts. They were also saints, but even with so many of them joining forces, they were still repelled by Lu Ming in one move. Some of them were even injured. Lu Ming's strength shocked them. Let's go. Lu Ming rushed past her. A stream of divine power wrapped around Ouyang Xiangxiang and they ran forward madly. Where are you going? Chase! Universe Master and Four Eyes Void Court shouted and chased after Lu Ming, followed by the others. The two sides, one chasing and one escaping, covered thousands of miles in the blink of an eye. However, Lu Ming's speed was even faster. He was like a flying ROC, and the distance between him and Universe Master, Four-Eye Void, and the others was constantly widening. Damn it, Supreme Universe bellowed. The killing intent in his heart was already incomparably thick. Lu Ming had to die. Otherwise, the fact that he had joined forces with the people from the unique Demon Academy to kill Lu Ming would definitely be exposed. By then, even if he had someone to protect him, he would never be able to stand out in the Kong Xian sect. He would be spurned by everyone. Therefore, he had to kill Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang. Don't worry, just let him run in this direction. His 4 eyes were empty, but his face was calm. Don't tell me it's in that direction. Supreme Universe seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes lit up. That's right. Mo Jui is coming from that direction. If he runs in that direction, he'll be walking right into a trap. So, we just have to keep chasing him and let him run forward. Four-eyed Kong Ting sneered. That's great. Paragon Universe was overjoyed. Of course, Their conversation was transmitted to Lu Ming for fear that he would overhear it. The chase continued for another half an hour. The distance between the two parties had widened. Supreme Universe and the rest could barely see Lu Ming's figure. Not good. Lu Ming, stop. At this time, Bone's voice echoed. What's wrong? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he could not help but stop. There's an expert in front of us, and he's coming at a high speed. This person's cultivation is extremely strong, and you're definitely not his match. He's so fast, he's almost here. Quickly change direction. Bone Demon shouted, somewhat anxious. Could it be Mo Jui? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The first person he thought of was Mo Jui. Since Simu Kongting and the others had appeared, Mo Jui was most likely on this planet as well. Without thinking, Lu Ming immediately changed his direction and dashed to the left. Damn it, why did he change direction? Could he have already discovered Mo Jui? Chase! The four-eyed void beast roared in anger and chased after Lu Ming. Boom! 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 Lu Ming had just changed his direction. After running for a short while, he sensed a terrifying aura coming from the direction he came from. The speed of the aura was shocking. When it first appeared, it was still very far away, but in a few breaths, it was not far away. It's Mo Jui indeed. Lu Ming's gaze swept across and he saw Mo Jui's figure. A layer of black light appeared around Mo Jui's body, making him look like a dark cloud. He chased after Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. Its speed was even faster than Lu Ming's. The distance between him and Lu Ming was closing. In the beginning, the two sides were still separated by several thousand li, but soon, the distance between the two sides was less than 1,000 li. After running for a while more, the distance between the two sides was reduced to less than 300 miles. If this continued, Lu Ming would be caught up to very soon. Lu Ming, die. Mo Jui's cold voice was heard. The black light around his body surged and turned into a pitch-black claw. It crossed a distance of hundreds of miles and grabbed at Lu Ming. Divine Dragon Phenomenon. Lu Ming cast the Divine Dragon Materialization Art and 3 huge 9-clawed Divine Dragons condensed and pounced towards Mo Jui's claws. Small tricks, break, die. Mo Jui shouted coldly as his pitch-black claws swiped down. Bang! 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 With 3 loud bangs, the 3 9-clawed Divine Dragons were shattered. They could not stop Lu Ming at all. The black claws continued to claw at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression changed. He turned around and attacked with all his might. Lu Ming cast the second move of the 3 apocalyptic strikes, moon cutting. He held the spear with both hands and swung it down with all his might. A crescent-shaped spearlight blasted towards the pitch-black claw. When the crescent-shaped spearlight struck the pitch-black claw, a violent boom was heard. The crescent-shaped spearlight trembled continuously before it exploded. Lu Ming felt an extremely powerful force surging towards him from his spear. His body trembled and his huge body retreated frantically. Pfft! Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. Furthermore, he felt a jet-black energy covering his body. It had a terrifying corrosive power that was about to corrode his body. What terrifying divine power! Lu Ming's expression was grave. The 6 divine flames in his body circulated at full force. Divine power rushed to the surface of his body continuously to block the divine power. The divine power that Mo Jui controlled was a divine-grade divine power, and it was shockingly powerful. Let's go. Lu Ming did not stop. He ran forward while resisting the divine power. You have some strength, but it's not enough. Kill, die. Mo Jui shouted coldly and attacked again. Lu Ming ran while blocking the attacks. Mo Jui's strength was truly shocking. Lu Ming could already sense that Mo Jui's cultivation was at the 6th level celestial deity realm. However, he controlled divine-grade divine energy and was much stronger than Supreme Universe and Four-Eye Void. Lu Ming was no match for him at all. Even if it was a long-distance attack, the power was still extremely shocking. A planet close to a star. Although Mo Jui's cultivation base was still at the 6th level heavenly god realm, which was on par with Supreme Universe and Four-Eye Void Court, his combat strength was far stronger than them. Even after exchanging a few moves across space, Lu Ming felt that he was far from being Mo Jui's match. After a few moves, Lu Ming's blood was boiling and blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. The distance between Mo Jui and him was rapidly closing. That brat is dead for sure. Behind him, Universe Master was overjoyed. He sped up and chased after Lu Ming, wanting to attack Lu Ming together with Mo Jui. We can't continue like this. Lu Ming's mind was racing. If this continued, Mo Jui would catch up to him in no time. At that time, the Supreme Universe would catch up with him, and Lu Ming would not be able to escape. Only death would await him. Lu Ming, there's only one way out now. Fly toward the star and the planet closest to it. The closer you are to the star, the stronger the gravity will be. The environment there will definitely be more complicated. Only then will you have a chance to escape. Bone's voice was heard. He was very knowledgeable and quickly thought of a countermeasure. All right. Lu Ming did not hesitate at all. He struck out with his spear with all his might. A huge spear light collided with Mo Jui's attack. The force was activated and Lu Ming's body shook. At the same time, Lu Ming borrowed this force and shot into the sky. The cry of a Kuan Peng was heard. Lu Ming used all his strength to cast the 9 heavenly Kuan Peng technique. The strong divine power condensed into a Kuan Peng on the surface of Lu Ming's body. With a flap of its wings, the Kuan Peng soared into the sky and traveled 90,000 miles in an instant, rushing toward the planet closest to the star. You want to leave? Dream on. Mo Jui came to his senses and rose into the sky, chasing after Lu Ming. Behind him, Supreme Universe, Four-Eye Void Court, and the others also rose into the sky and chased after Lu Ming. After rushing out of the starry sky, Lu Ming used the 9 heavenly Kuan Peng technique with all his might. His speed became even faster, as if he was a bird flying in the sky. For a moment Mo Jui could not catch up with Lu Ming. The two sides, one chasing and one escaping, crossed a long distance and rapidly approached the planet closest to the star. From afar, the planet closest to the star was a sea of fiery red, as if it was enveloped by a layer of fiery red clouds. It was a dazzling sight. Very soon, Lu Ming was not far from this planet. Lu Ming, even if you run to the ends of the earth, you're still going to die. Mo Jui bellowed and used all his strength to chase after Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not say a word. He was engrossed in his journey. Finally, he arrived in the sky above the planet and rushed into the dazzling clouds. Lu Ming's body trembled violently the moment he charged into the clouds. He almost lost control of his body and fell to the ground. What a terrifying gravitational force, Lu Ming was shocked. The gravity of this planet was beyond his imagination. It was extremely terrifying. Even Lu Ming was almost hit by it. However, before Lu Ming could come to his senses, a strong gust of wind came toward him at an alarming speed. Before he could react, he was swept into the strong wind. It was hot. This was Lu Ming's first impression. This gust of wind was extremely hot. Its temperature was even more terrifying than lava. Lu Ming could feel waves of burning pain on his skin. Lu Ming hurriedly circulated his divine power to resist and he felt slightly better. However, the power of the gale was too shocking. Even if Lu Ming wanted to burst out with all his strength and rush out, he could not do it. He could only be swept away by the gale and flew to an unknown place. Behind him, Mo Jui followed closely behind Lu Ming and rushed into the planet. However, he ended up like Lu Ming. The moment he rushed in, he was also swept away by a hot gust of wind. He could not help but be swept in a different direction from Lu Ming. After Mo Jui, Supreme Universe, Four-Eye Void Court, Sacred Sun of Reflection, and the others all rushed into the planet. However, some of the weaker ones were even worse off. They couldn't control their bodies and were attracted by the terrifying gravity, falling to the ground and suffering heavy injuries. As for those with higher cultivation bases, although they were able to resist the gravitational pull, they were swept away by the scorching wind and flew to who knows where. The group of people had all been scattered. Lu Ming drifted along with the strong wind. He did not know how far he had flown. Slowly, the power of the strong wind weakened. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and rushed out of the strong wind, flying toward the ground. Bang! Lu Ming landed heavily on the ground. The hardness of the ground here was even more shocking. It was several times harder than the ground of the previous planets. The strong gravitational force was constantly acting on Lu Ming's body. He could only circulate his divine power to resist it at all times. Lu Ming was on guard. However, after waiting for a moment, he did not find anything unusual. It seems that this kind of wind only exists in the high altitude of this planet. There are fewer on the ground. As long as I avoid it carefully, I should be fine. Lu Ming pondered for a while and then released his right palm. Ouyang Xiangxiang was sitting cross-legged on his palm. At the moment, Lu Ming had the body of an ancient god. He was a few hundred meters tall and his palm was huge. It was very easy for him to hold Ouyang Qingxiang. Lu Ming, are you all right? Where are Mo Jui and the rest? Ouyang Qingxiang quickly asked. We've shaken them off. Lu Ming said. As he spoke, Lu Ming's body quickly shrank to the size of an ordinary person. Then, he felt a sense of weakness. In the previous battle, Lu Ming had been maintaining his ancient god body, which had consumed a lot of his energy. Following that, the two of them randomly chose a direction and ran. Not long after, they found a hidden place and the two of them took a rest. A few days later, the two of them had recovered to their peak condition. They left the place and continued forward. Soon, the two of them had some gains. Lu Ming found a few pieces of strange metal. In the next few days, the two of them continued to gain. There were many precious metals on this planet. Lu Ming was all smiles. This planet was the closest to the star, so it was affected the most by the array. It was indeed extraordinary. Gah! Suddenly, a sharp bird's cry came from the front. Could there be a living being? Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang were both stunned. It sounded like a bird's cry. However, how could any living creature survive on this planet in such a harsh environment? The two of them were very curious and flew in the direction of the sound. Boom! Boom! Not long after, the two of them heard a violent rumble. Someone was fighting. The two of them quickly concealed their auras and flew for a while before they finally saw the situation clearly. 5 young men and women were engaged in an intense battle with 3 giant birds. It's the people of the multi-story building sect. Ouyang Qingxiang recognized the 5 people at a glance. They were the heavens favorites from one of the top 10 sects, the multi-story house sect. The multi-tower sect was one of the top 10 sections. Of course, it was still slightly inferior to the Kong Xian sect. The 5 people in front of him were all very powerful. 3 of them were at the level of saints, and the strongest one was not weaker than Ouyang Qingxiang. Chapter 2897 Star Core Fragment. Fighting against the five of them were three large snow-white birds. Their wingspans were no less than 50 meters. No, this isn't a real living being. It's made of some kind of energy. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He could tell that the three big birds were not living creatures at all. They were condensed from a kind of energy and did not have any life aura at all. Flying snow. The five young men and women of the multi-story building sect all used a battle axe with amazing power. When the battle axe chopped down, it completely suppressed the three giant birds. In particular, there was a black-robed youth whose strength was not weaker than Ouyang Xiangxiang's. With a swing of his battle axe, he chopped off the wings of a large bird. Kill! The black-robed young man shouted. His battle axe swept across with the might to split open the sky. The axe light swept across, and the big bird's head was chopped off. Its body then collapsed. To Lu Ming and Ouyang Xiangxiang's surprise, after the big bird dispersed, it actually turned into a stream of energy and surged into the black-robed young man's body. The black-robed young man's face was full of satisfaction and excitement. Kill! Then, the black-robed young man attacked the other two big birds. Not long after, the remaining two birds were both killed. Just like the previous one, these two birds also collapsed and turned into waves of energy that were absorbed by the five young men and women. Awesome, this is so awesome. If this continues, our cultivation will break through very soon. A young woman said with excitement on her face. That's right. I don't know what these giant birds are. After killing them, we can actually absorb their energy. This is truly a great opportunity. Let's go, well, continue moving forward. The black-robed young man said. Then, the five of them continued to move forward. Not long after, several large birds appeared and pounced at the black-robed young man's group. What a waste. They're simply wasting God's gift by absorbing it like that. I'm so angry. In his sea of consciousness, the quantity formula shouted unhappily. Old Liang, do you know what those big birds are? Lu Ming asked. Nonsense, of course I know. It's formed by the energy overflowing from the star core fragments. The energy from the star core is extremely pure, so the energy overflowing from the star core fragments can be directly absorbed by people. The quantity formula said. A star core fragment. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. No wonder the black-robed young man and his group of five were able to absorb the energy of that huge bird after killing it. It's a complete waste for them to absorb it like that. I'm afraid they can't even absorb half of the energy, and the rest will dissipate. If it were me, I would definitely be able to absorb 100%. The quantity formula said. You're saying that there are star core fragments in this area? Lu Ming continued to ask. That's right, kid. If you can get the star core fragment, I'm confident that I can help you break through to the sky celestial realm in a short time. The quantity formula said. I must get the star core fragment. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Just as Lu Ming was about to rush out and chase away the black-robed young man and the others to occupy this place, a few rainbow lights flew over rapidly from the distance. It's him, Four Eyes Void Court. Lu Ming swept his gaze around and discovered that the newcomer was the peerless genius of the unique demon academy, Four-Eyed Void Court. In addition, there were also a few geniuses from the unique demon academy. The black-robed youth and the others also discovered Four-Eyed Kongting's group, and their faces darkened. Buzz! Buzz! And NBSP whoosh! Simu Kongting and the others stood in the air, looking at the few large birds with greed. This is. It was formed by the overflowing energy of a star core fragment. Ha ha ha, there's actually a star core fragment here. The four-eyed King Kong Ting roared in his heart, his 4 eyes filled with greed. As a peerless heaven's favorite of the 3 overlord forces, he naturally had a broad vision. With just a glance, he could tell that this giant bird was formed by the energy overflowing from a star core fragment. This was a great opportunity. You guys can get lost. I want this place. Four-eyed Kong Ting said coldly. Four-eyed Empty Court. We found this place first. It's too domineering of you to chase us away like this. The black-robed young man said with a gloomy expression. Overbearing? Hee, you don't have to leave, but you can stay here forever. Four-eyed Kong Ting sneered. You, the black-robed young man and the other four revealed angry expressions. They had finally encountered such an opportunity, so they were somewhat unwilling to leave like this. They quickly retreated and dodged the attacks of a few big birds. They retreated to the side, but they had no intention of leaving. Do you still have any hope of getting lucky? You're really stupid. Then I'll send you on your way to kill. Si Mu Kong Ting shouted coldly. As his four eyes opened and closed, four beams of light shot out towards the black-robed youth and the other four. Flying snow. The black-robed young man bellowed as he continuously struck out with his battle axe, sending out a dozen axe lights towards the light beam that was shot out from the four-eyed void. Bang! Bang! After a few violent rumbles, the black-robed young man's body trembled and he retreated, spitting out a mouthful of blood. He was no match for the four-eyed void court. Just like when Ouyang Qingxiang was up against the Supreme Universe, she could not even block a few moves. Hee, Four Eyes Empty Court, you're really very impressive. At this moment, a cold laugh came from the distance. Then, a few sword lights flickered rapidly. The next moment, a few more figures appeared in the area. A few young men were carrying long swords on their backs. The one in the lead had sword-like eyebrows and eagle-like eyes, and he had an extraordinary appearance. Zhuo Bingchen. Four-eyed Kong Ting's gaze turned cold, revealing a trace of solemnness. It's him. He's an extremely powerful prodigy from the indestructible sword sect. He's only second to the deity, Wuji swordsman. He's no weaker than Universe God. Ouyang Qingxiang's face was solemn as she sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. He could also sense a terrifying sword intent from this person. When the black-robed youth and the other four saw Zhuo Wudi appear, their faces became even uglier. The four-eyed emptiness and Zhuo Buma's appearance meant that the opportunities in this place had nothing to do with them. I'm so lucky. This place actually has a star core fragment. It's mine. Zhuo Wu Fa laughed out loud, full of confidence and greed. It's yours? Zhuo Bingwu, you're really overconfident. Four-eyed Kong Ting sneered. For eyes in the void, you want to stop me? The outside world has always placed me on the same level as you. Today, you'll see what qualifications you have to be on the same level as me. Zhuo Buzhu said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying sword essence rose from his body. With a swish, his long sword was drawn and a white sword light shot towards the four-eyed void. Four eyes set the sky. Four eyes shouted loudly. His four eyes were like four suns, giving off a dazzling light. Then, four rays of light burst out and turned into four long spears that shot towards Zhuo Bumu. Buzz! Buzz! And NBSP whoosh! The sword light and the destructive light beam collided continuously, causing terrifying sound waves to erupt. In an instant, the two of them had exchanged dozens of moves. After dozens of moves, the two of them retreated at the same time. They were evenly matched. Chapter 2898 Scruples for I Kong Ting and Zhuo Wu Fa looked at each other from a distance, their expressions somewhat grave. For a moment, neither of them made a move. They knew that if the two of them were to fight, it would not be decided in a short time. Moreover, if both of them were injured, the black-robed youth and the others would take advantage of it. Ga ga. At this moment, a few large birds were chirping as they pounced towards Four-Eye Void Court and Zhuobuju. Buzz. Whoosh. Four-Eyes Void Court and Zhuowu Fa attacked at the same time. In an instant, a few large birds were killed by the two of them. They then turned into rolling energy that surged into their bodies and were absorbed. Cool, this is too cool. Four-Eyed Kong Ting's face was filled with an intoxicated expression. Zhuobuju was almost the same. If they absorbed the giant bird, their cultivation would improve rapidly. Absorbing one giant bird would be equivalent to 1,000 years of their bitter cultivation. What could be more satisfying than that? For eyes, let's compete fairly for the star core fragment. Whoever gets it will get it. How about it? Zhuowu Fa stared at the four-eyed empty court. Alright, let's do that. But before that, we still need to get rid of some miscellaneous people. After saying that, Four-Eyed Void Court swept his cold gaze toward the black-robed youth and the others. That's right, get lost, or else, die. Zhuowu Fa said even more coldly. The black-robed youth's group of 5 had extremely unsightly expressions, but they didn't dare to refute. In this world, strength was the most important. If one talked too much without strength, only death would await them. Let's go. The black-robed youth shouted angrily and turned to leave. Although the other 4 Heaven's favorites from the multi-story sect were unwilling, they had no choice but to follow the black-robed youth and leave. There are still 2 ants. Aren't you going to get lost? After the black-robed young man and his group of 5 left, he looked in the direction of Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang with his cold eyes and said coldly, "It seems that we've been discovered." Lu Ming smiled faintly and walked out with Ouyang Xiangxiang. "Lu Ming, it's you guys." When he saw that it was Lu Ming and Ouyang Xiangxiang, Four-Eyed Void Court bellowed in anger. His 4 eyes flickered with cold killing intent. "Lu Ming, it's you. Ha ha ha. Good, very good. You killed a holy son of my indestructible sword sect in the world of ancient gods. Now, leave your life behind." A terrifying sword intent rushed out of Zhuowudi's body. As soon as he finished speaking, a snow-white sword light flew towards Lu Ming with terrifying power. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He immediately used the ancient god tactic and turned into a green-armored ancient god. He thrust his spear and broke Zhuobuzu's sword radiance. "Kill!" Lu Ming shouted, his fighting spirit soaring. With his combat power being quadrupled, Lu Ming's body was filled with energy. He held the spear and charged towards Zhuobuzu. Zhuobuzu's pupils contracted. It was obvious that Lu Ming's abilities had far exceeded his expectations. Undying Sword Principle. Zhuowudi shouted and used a terrifying divine skill to attack Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! In an instant, the two of them exchanged more than a dozen moves. The others could only see the sky full of spear and sword rays. In the beginning, the spear and sword rays clashed with each other, and it was difficult to tell who was stronger. However, after a few breaths, the spear radiance began to suppress the sword radiance. The sword radiance trembled non-stop and finally exploded with a loud boom. A figure was seen retreating continuously. The one who retreated was naturally Zhuowudi. How is that possible? Zhuowu's eyes were filled with disbelief. He had never expected Lu Ming to be so powerful that he could not even defeat him. Four-Eyed Void had exchanged blows with Lu Ming before and was not too surprised. Zhuobuzu, this Lu Ming is really abnormal. I'm afraid you can't take him down by yourself. How about we join forces and kill him together? Four-Eyed Kong Ting said to Zhuobiyu Dong. All right. Zhuowudi directly nodded his head and released a terrifying sword essence. Four-Eyes Void Court and Zhuobuzu formed a horn and charged towards Lu Ming. You two want to join forces to kill me? Good, very good. However, do you think you can kill me so easily? If I go all out, I can take one of you down with me. Even if I can't kill you, I can at least heavily injure you. If one of you is seriously injured, would the other let him go? Lu Ming sneered. The moment he said this, Four Eyes Void Court and Zhuo Buzu's figures stopped. They looked at each other and saw the wariness in each other's eyes. Lu Ming was right. Even if the two of them joined forces to deal with Lu Ming, given Lu Ming's abilities, it was not impossible for him to take one of them down with him if he retaliated before he died. Even if he couldn't kill them, he would definitely be able to severely injure them. If one of them was seriously injured, would the other let the other go? It was impossible. Who wouldn't want to keep the star core fragment for themselves? For a moment, neither of them made a move. Lu Ming, don't you dare try to sow discord. Four-eyed Kong Ting said in a deep voice. Hee, trying to sow discord? I'm just telling the truth. If you want to fight, I'll keep you company. Lu Ming sneered. Four Eyes Void Court and Zhuo Buzu still didn't attack. They naturally knew that Lu Ming was telling the truth. For a time, the three sides were in a stalemate. The star core fragment will belong to anyone who sees it. Let's have a fair competition. Whoever can get it will get it. By the time the others arrive, we won't have a share, especially your divine sons. Lu Ming smiled faintly. For I Kong Ting and Zhuo Wu Fa's eyes flashed, they were clearly moved. In the unique demon academy or the immortal sword sect, the divine sons and holy sons were also competitors, just like the Kong Xian sect. For Eyes Void, he had always been suppressed by Mo Jui. It would be a lie to say that he did not want to replace Mo Jui and defeat him. If Mo Jui found this place, the star core fragment would definitely belong to Mo Jui. Compared to killing Lu Ming, it was more important for him to obtain the opportunity. Alright, let's have a fair competition. Whoever has the strength and the opportunity will get the star core fragment. The four-eyed empty court finally gave in. After saying those words, it turned around and rushed forward with the people from the unique demon academy. Let's go. How could Zhuo Buzu fall behind? He also led the few geniuses of the indestructible sword sect and charged forward. Let's go too. Lu Ming nodded at Ouyang Qingxiang. In a flash, the two of them also moved forward. They didn't walk far in this direction before large birds pounced out to kill them. Kill! Lu Ming waved his long spear and pressed down. A big bird was killed by him. At once, the huge bird dispersed and turned into rolling energy that rushed into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming, let me do it first. I'll transfer it to you after I devour it. He said the measure word art. Then, a powerful suction force erupted and devoured all the energy that the big bird had transformed into. The next moment, an extremely pure energy surged out from the measure word art and gushed into Lu Ming's limbs and bones. Lu Ming circulated the universe thousand Dao mantra to absorb this energy and convert it into divine power. Lu Ming is the only one who can enter in just a few breaths. Lu Ming had completely absorbed and refined this energy. Lu Ming could feel that his divine energy had become much purer. Of course, there was still a long way to go before he could reach the celestial deity realm. What a rich and powerful energy, Lu Ming sighed. Of course. After I absorb it, I can use it 100%. Others can only absorb half of it at most. The quantity word formula said proudly. Lu Ming smiled. Without further ado, he waved his long spear and killed another large bird. He then continued to absorb energy. At this moment, Ouyang Qingxiang had also killed a big bird and absorbed its energy. The divine power in her body had also become stronger. Killing these birds to cultivate would be many times faster than cultivating normally. On the other side, Four Eyes Void Court, Zhuo Wu Fa and the others were also increasing their speed, killing the giant bird and absorbing its energy. After they finished absorbing the energy, they continued to move forward. After Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang finished off a few big birds, they also went forward. As they went deeper, the number of giant birds that appeared increased. They knew that the star core fragment must be right in front of them. Although the giant bird was quite powerful, it was still being hunted down by experts like Lu Ming, Four Eyes Void Court, and Zhuobuju. The giant birds were killed one after another as Lu Ming continued to venture deeper. Ga ga ga. Suddenly, a series of ear-piercing sounds came from the front. Lu Ming and the rest were shocked as they looked ahead in a daze. There was a huge canyon ahead, but at the mouth of the canyon and above the canyon, there were countless large birds flying. At a glance, there were no less than 1,000 of them, covering the sky and blocking out the light in this area. So many, someone said in a hoarse voice. Experts like Lu Ming, Four-Eyed Void Court, and Zhuobuju naturally did not care about such a huge bird alone. However, if so many of them attacked together, even they would find it difficult to deal with. The star core fragment must be in this canyon. Greed appeared in the four-eyed King Kong's eyes. What should we do? There are so many big birds. How can we enter? Zhuobuju muttered, his mind constantly turning, trying to think of a way to get rid of the others and also to take the star core fragment for himself. Lu Ming, I have a way to help you get in. At this moment, the quantity formula spoke again. You have a way? What is it? Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he conversed with the quantity formula secretly. These big birds are formed from the energy leaking out of the star core fragments. They don't seem to have any intelligence and only have a kind of instinct. As for me, I'm the ancient word quantity. It's the origin of all energy and can devour all energy. As long as you release your aura, those birds made of energy won't dare to approach you. The quantity formula said. It's that simple? Lu Ming was stunned. It's that simple. The quantity formula said as if it could cut through gold and iron. All right. Lu Ming nodded secretly. He already had an idea. Four eyes in the empty courtyard. It seems like we can only charge in if we work together. At this moment, Lu Ming spoke to Four-Eye Void Court and Zhuobudong. Join hands? Four-Eyed Kongting and Motionless Desk's eyes flashed. That's right. Let's work together. After we get in, we'll each use our own abilities to get the star core fragment. Lu Ming said. All right, I agree. I also agree. Four Eyes Void Court and Zhuowu Fa both nodded. After making up their minds, they prepared to attack. Qingxiang, wait a moment. You have to follow me closely. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Ouyang Qingxiang. Ouyang Qingxiang nodded silently and followed closely behind Lu Ming. Kill! Suddenly, Lu Ming shouted and dashed toward the flock of birds at the entrance of the canyon. At the same time, Zhuobumu also led his people towards the canyon. Ga ga ga. As soon as they moved, the giant birds noticed them and moved as well. They let out sharp cries and pounced on Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming shouted and waved his long spear, killing the big birds. Four Eyes Void Court, Zhuobuju and the others also attacked with all their might, killing those giant birds. However, there were too many giant birds, and it was easier said than done to charge in. However, because of this, Zhuobumu and Four-Eye Kongting also attracted a large number of giant birds. Old Liang, now. Lu Ming sent a message to the quantity formula. Watch this old lady. The voice of the measure formula was heard. At the same time, the entire body of the measure formula glowed. A mysterious aura was emitted and enveloped Lu Ming. At first, a few large birds were pouncing on Lu Ming. However, they suddenly sensed the aura of the measure formula. Their eyes were filled with fear and they immediately flew away from Lu Ming. It's really effective. Qingxiang, follow me. Lu Ming pulled Ouyang Qingxiang's hand. The aura of the measure formula followed her hand and covered her entire body. The surrounding big birds also directly bypassed Ouyang Qingxiang and did not pounce on her. When Lu Ming held her hand, Ouyang Qingxiang's delicate body began to tremble and her face turned red. However, the next moment, her beautiful eyes revealed a look of surprise. Because she realized that those big birds actually didn't pounce towards her. They directly bypassed her and pounced towards Four Eyes Void Court and Zhuobuju. Ouyang Qingxiang was extremely shocked. She knew that all of this was because of Lu Ming. Her curiosity about him grew. Let's go. Lu Ming held Ouyang Qingxiang's hand and rushed into the canyon. Not a single big bird stopped him. Damn it! How is that possible? Four Eyes Void Court, Zhuobuju and the rest also discovered Lu Ming's strange behavior. It was simply unbelievable and they roared in anger. Lu Ming, stop right there. You dare to trick me. Four Eyes Void Court and Zhuobuba roared, their killing intent as cold as a knife. You guys have fun, I'm not going to keep you company. Lu Ming smiled indifferently and continued to rush forward with Ouyang Qingxiang. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from the sight of Four Eye Void Courtyard and the others. Four Eyes Void Court and Zhuobuba roared in anger, their killing intent was as cold as a blade, but they were helpless. Let's not fight with these giant birds and conserve our strength. Well, surround the area and wait for Lu Ming to come out. It'll be his time of death. Four-eyed Kong Ting said coldly. That's right. That brat dared to trick me. He's simply courting death. Zhuo Wudi's voice was also extremely cold. Immediately, they stopped fighting with the giant birds and retreated. After they had retreated a certain distance, the giant birds stopped chasing them and flew back to the canyon. Four Eyes Void Court and Zhuobuju led people to guard not far away. They were waiting for Lu Ming to come out and then kill him. After Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang barged into the flock of big birds, their field of vision suddenly widened. There was no big bird in the canyon. Those big birds were just circling the mouth of the canyon and above it. The moment Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang entered, their gazes were deeply attracted. There was a ball of light floating in the air above the valley, emitting a dazzling light. Chapter 2900 Crisis. A ball of light was floating in the valley, emitting a dazzling light. In addition, there was an extremely pure energy constantly spreading out. A star core fragment. Lu Ming's and Ouyang Qingxiang's eyes were burning with desire. This was definitely a star core fragment. They had come to the right place. The two of them couldn't help but get closer to the star core fragment, and finally saw the full appearance of the fragment. It was a crystal the size of a fingernail. Although it was small, the energy it contained was extremely terrifying. It's so small, Lu Ming muttered. Kid, what do you know? A star core is the core of a star. It contains an enormous amount of energy, but it's also extremely pure. It's very easy to absorb and is a peerless treasure. Moreover, the star core here was formed by a man using a large formation. The energy contained in a star core is even more terrifying. Don't underestimate this small piece, it's enough for you to break through to the heavenly god realm. The disdainful voice of the Liang character formula sounded. Then let's start. Lu Ming said. He could not wait any longer. Immediately, Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang walked toward the star core fragment. When they arrived at the fragment, the two of them sat cross-legged and began to cultivate by absorbing the energy from the star core. Lu Ming, it'll help you absorb it. It'll help you break through to the celestial god level faster. He recited the measure formula. Then, a powerful suction force erupted. The energy in the star core surged towards Lu Ming continuously and was absorbed by the measure formula. It was transformed into purer energy and surged into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming circulated the universe Thousand Tao mantra at full force to absorb and refine this energy. The energy of the star core was extremely pure. Even without the measure formula, it could be refined quickly. With the help of the measure formula, the refining speed was naturally faster. A steady stream of energy was transformed into divine power. Lu Ming's divine power was increasing rapidly. In his dantian, 6 divine flames were burning fiercely, and the flames were getting more and more vigorous. Lu Ming was breaking through to the celestial god level at an alarming speed. On the other side, Ouyang Qingxiang was also circulating her cultivation technique to absorb the energy of the star core fragment. However, her absorption speed was far from comparable to Lu Ming's. Just like that, they cultivated for 7 days. In 7 days, the fingernail-sized fragment had almost been completely absorbed by the two of them, leaving only the size of a speck of dust. Boom! At that moment, a powerful aura erupted from Ouyang Xiangxiang's body. She had broken through and reached the 6th-level celestial deity realm. Ouyang Xiangxiang had only broken through to the 5th-level heavenly god realm not long ago, but she had already reached the 6th-level heavenly god realm. This was all thanks to the star core fragment. However, the energy that Ouyang Qingxiang absorbed was far less than Lu Ming's. At this moment, Lu Ming's aura had also increased to its peak. 6 types of divine powers surged and shone with a dazzling light, circulating continuously on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body was like a volcano that was about to erupt at any moment. Boom! Finally, Lu Ming exploded. A shocking aura erupted from his body, and a powerful pressure filled the air. This was the pressure of a heavenly god. The divine energy that Lu Ming controlled was divine-grade divine energy. He also had 5 other types of divine energy. The energy required for a breakthrough was much more than Ouyang Qingxiang's. At this moment, after absorbing the energy of the star core fragment, Lu Ming finally broke through the bottleneck in one fell swoop and charged into the celestial god realm. As soon as he entered the celestial god realm, Lu Ming's body exuded a powerful suction force. The energy between heaven and earth rushed towards Lu Ming in an even more violent manner. Pfft! The last star core fragment let out a soft sound and completely shattered. It turned into energy and surged into Lu Ming's body. The moment the star core fragment shattered, the huge birds around the canyon screeched and dispersed. They turned into energy and surged into Lu Ming's body. With 4 empty eyes, Zhuo Biumu and the others had been waiting outside the canyon, waiting for Lu Ming to come out and kill him. At this moment, they suddenly saw the giant birds scattering one by one, and they were all shocked. What's going on? That's Lu Ming. He's cultivating, damn it, it must be the star core fragment. Lu Ming absorbed the star core fragment, which caused all those big birds to disperse. Kill him. When Four-Eyed Void Court and the rest saw Lu Ming and Ouyang Xiangxiang, they could easily guess what had happened. They immediately roared angrily, their eyes red with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Kill. Zhuo Buhua was the most direct. With a cold shout, a terrifying sword intent burst out. He became one with the sword, turning into a brilliant sword light and slashing toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming had actually absorbed the star core fragment. He wanted to crush Lu Ming's bones and scatter his ashes. The sword light was extremely fast and it was approaching Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming was at the critical moment of his breakthrough and he could not resist at all. In actual fact, the current situation was beyond Lu Ming's expectations. He did not expect that after he absorbed the star core fragment, the huge birds would disperse. Green Lotus Sword Domain, die. Ouyang Qingxiang shouted. Her delicate body emitted a dazzling green sword radiance. Green lotus flowers appeared in front of Lu Ming. Thousands of sword qi slashed at Zhuobuju. Buzz! 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 The sword qi clashed. In an instant, the sword qi from both sides had clashed hundreds of times. After a few hundred hits, the green lotus flower crumbled, and Zhuobuzu's figure was also blocked and stopped. You've made a breakthrough in your cultivation. Zhuo Bingchen's expression was unsightly as he stared at Ouyang Qingxiang. It must be a star core fragment. She has also absorbed the energy of a star core fragment. Damn it, damn it! The four-eyed King Kong charged over, his mouth constantly roaring in anger. He was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. In his opinion, Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang's absorption of the star core fragment was simply a waste of a heavenly treasure. How great would it be if he could absorb the star core fragment? He would definitely be able to break through to the 7th level or even the 8th level of the heavenly deity realm. In that case, he would not have to fear Mo Jui. He could even suppress Mo Jui and become the #1 expert among the younger generation of the unique Demon Academy. However, this hope had been shattered by Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang. So what if I've broken through? Kill! Zhuo Wuti shouted, and the sword light became even brighter as it charged toward Ouyang Qingxiang. Let's attack together and get rid of this B***TCH. Then, well, kill Lu Ming. The Four-Eye Void Court roared and attacked as well. Terrifying beams of light shot out from its 4 eyes and shot toward Ouyang Qingxiang. Green Lotus Sword Domain, Green Lotus Sword Domain. Ouyang Qingxiang shouted again. The divine power in her body was about to burn. She burst out with all her power and set up the Green Lotus Sword Domain around Lu Ming and her. The boundless sword qi gathered into a few huge green lotus flowers, which enveloped the two of them and blocked the attacks from all directions. However, Ouyang Xiangxiang's cultivation had only just broken through to the 6th level heavenly deity realm. She wouldn't even be a match for Four Eyes Void Court or Zhuo Bufu alone, let alone the two of them working together. The moment the two attacks collided, the green lotus trembled violently. Ouyang Qingxiang groaned and her body trembled. She spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.